Chapter 1138. Without any hesitation, the slap landed on the Hong clan's elder's face. Slap! A crisp but unpleasant sound was heard. After all, even Tianyong would not be able to slap the elder's face so nicely. However, even though it was unpleasant, the surrounding people's expressions changed instantly. It became extremely eerie and terrifying. What are you doing? Previously, they had only had their suspicions, but now they were completely convinced. Tianyong was definitely sent by the enemy family. What am I doing? Tianyong smiled faintly. Are you guys blind? Tianyong was not a fool. He knew what would happen if he slapped the elder. However, the strongest person in the Hong family was only Wu Zun stage 8. Even if Hong Tsong had some means to regain his strength as a minor saint alchemist, he was still only a minor saint alchemist. Tianyong was not only a minor saint alchemist, but he was also a powerful person who could rival Wu Zun at his peak. To him, the entire Hong clan was nothing but an ant. Therefore, why should he care about the feelings of the weak? Suspect me? Slander me? I'll kill all of you. Explain? Prove? That's nothing. I have the strength, so I'll suppress all of you. The logic was simple and crude, but it was extremely effective. Tianyong was instantly satisfied, and the surrounding Hong family higher-ups were completely enraged. Attack! Take this kid down. The Hong family head roared and was the first to attack. Wu Zun stage 8 aura burst out. Sky-ripping sea claw. In the next moment, a majestic true origin condensed and vaguely formed a mountain and sea. The finger also bent into the shape of an eagle's claw and violently grabbed at Tianyong. A terrifying, tearing force burst out at this moment. The other Hong family elders were not to be outdone. They released Wu Zun's stage 5 to stage 7 powerful true origin and surrounded Tianyong. Dragon Star Sword. Great desolate imprisoning heavenly finger. Dragon trapping blood pattern formation. The elders of the Hong family roared and unleashed one powerful martial skill after another, which was aimed at Tianyong. If he was hit with Tianyong's strength, he would probably die. However, Hong Tsong gritted his teeth and made his move. Although he was shaken, he was still willing to believe that Tianyong had really saved their lives. All of you stop. At this moment, Tianyong stretched out his index finger. He shook his head. Boom! Everything in the surroundings seemed to have been hit by some kind of destructive force. The shadows of the claws, the sword light, the blood stripes, and the light of the fingers were all reduced to nothingness. At the same time, the figures that had released powerful auras also lost all their might at this moment. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and were sent flying in all directions. Bang! 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 The head of the Hong family and a few elders slammed heavily into the wall of the meeting hall, creating a huge hole in the extremely sturdy wall. At the same time, they spat out another mouthful of blood. They looked at Tianyong with eyes full of horror. Is this a human? The higher-ups of the Hong family, with the exception of the ancestor, had all attacked together. He, the head of the Hong family, had even executed his half-martial skill, but he still could not defeat a young man who did not look older than 50, no, 30 years old. Instead, he was able to instantly kill everyone and send them flying with a gentle wave of his finger. What exactly was going on? At this moment, Hong Tsong finally uttered the remaining words. Hand! The entire place fell silent. Even Hong Tsong, who had traveled extensively and experienced countless battles, could not help but be stunned at this moment. His face was filled with great astonishment. Previously, it was not just the head of the Hong family who had attacked alone. Instead, all the higher-ups of the Hong family, with the exception of the ancestor, Hong Tsong, had attacked together. Even so, Tianyong managed to survive and even kill them instantly. He had single-handedly killed almost the entire Hong family. How is this possible? The head of the Hong family spat out a mouthful of blood and stood up with great difficulty. The astonishment in his eyes was no less than Hong Tsong's. In fact, he was even more astonished. Hong Song was only watching from the side, so he knew Tianyang's strength. The head of the Hong family was the one who had been killed instantly. He had only lightly waved his finger, and he could not tell how much strength he had used. However, he had sent all the higher-ups of the Hong family flying. Only by directly facing the Heavenly Sun's attack would one be able to fully feel the unstoppable power of the attack. What the head of the Hong family could not accept was that Tianyang's vitality was definitely less than 50 years old. Moreover, was that really an attack? How could he be so powerful? The old man who had suspected Tianyang spat out a mouthful of blood and was in disbelief. Tianyang stood in the same spot, his expression unchanged as he scanned the crowd. Tianyang, was too lazy to speak. "The few of you get up now." At this moment, Hong Song came to his senses and shouted angrily. The primordial spirit energy of a minor divine, pill alchemist, and the aura of the old ancestor of the Hong family exploded. Instantly, the higher-ups of the Hong family shuddered. They did not care about the injuries on their bodies and hurriedly stood up. Tianyang didn't kill them either. Otherwise, even if he only used a finger, this group of people would most likely be wiped out. They were the ones who had slammed into the wall and vomited blood. "Quickly, apologize to young hero Tianyang," Hong Song shouted angrily. The head of the Hong family was stunned when he heard that. The old man next to him was even more displeased. "Old ancestor, this is too. Just apologize when I ask you to," Hong Song said angrily. The old ancestor of the Hong family released his unquestionable aura. Hearing that, the old man could only suppress the displeasure on his face. The others did the same when they saw that. Tianyang was too powerful. They could only apologize when he asked them to. "I'm very sorry." The head of the Hong family bowed. He was not displeased at all. He knew that with Tianyang's strength, he was lucky that he did not kill him. It was just an apology. What was so difficult about it? When the others saw that, they apologized as well. "All right, I'm just passing by. You can continue if you have anything to say," Tianyang said calmly. Hearing that, everyone was relieved. They looked at each other before they spoke. Then, "Old ancestor, are the things that you prepared for young Master Yin ready?" The head of the Hong family asked. Hong Song nodded slightly. "It's ready. It's all thanks to young hero Tianyang. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to survive the attack of the Tangfei bandits." "That's good." The head of the Hong family heaved a sigh of relief. Then, Hong Song waved his hand. Countless medicinal herbs, reiki, and treasures appeared in front of everyone. "As long as we can win young Master Yin over, we don't have to be afraid of the Wu family anymore," Hong Song said with a smile. The head of the Hong family nodded with a smile and prepared to check the items. At that moment, Tianyang suddenly spoke. Chapter 1139. Do people from Xiling State send poisonous items as gifts? Tianyang said. Hearing this, all of the Hong family's upper echelons present were stunned. Even Hong Song was no exception. "Young hero Tianyang, what do you mean?" Hong Song's face turned serious, as if he had thought of something bad. At the same time, he released the power of his primordial spirit and enveloped the valuable treasures. Literally, Tianyang shrugged. He was just saying it casually. It was good that the Hong family understood. If they did not, then so be it. However, Tianyang noticed it. To the side, the old man who was the first to jump out and pick on Qinan was startled after hearing Qinan's words. Interesting. Tianyang's lips curled up slightly, but he did not expose him. After all, this was their family matter. If not for the fact that Tianyang wanted the Hong family to help him find Ling Yuhan, he would not have bothered to say those words. Whether the Hong family had the ability to get through this would depend on their luck. Is there a problem? For the Hong family head to be able to hold the position of family head, he was no fool. He immediately understood the deeper meaning behind Tianyang's words. How was that possible? At this moment, the old man spoke and looked at Tianyang suspiciously. These are treasures brought back by the patriarch himself. They cost the Hong family a lot of money and were appraised by the patriarch and countless appraisers. How can there be poisonous items in them? Don't talk nonsense. Don't try to scare us. The old man from the Hong family said angrily as he stared at Tianyang with a righteous expression. It was as if Tianyang was the enemy who had destroyed the Hong family. Even if you're powerful, it doesn't mean that you're not from the Wu family. In my opinion, there's no need for outsiders to be present at this family meeting, the old man from the Hong family said indignantly. Hearing that, Tianyang raised an eyebrow and smiled mockingly. I'm from the Wu family? In other words, I'm here to be a spy? The old man from the Hong family snorted and did not say anything. Obviously, he agreed with Tianyang's question. Are you worthy? Tianyang chuckled. His expression did not change, but the disdain in the depths of his voice was undisguised. The old man from the Hong family was stunned. Then his face twisted. You. The old man from the Hong family was so angry that he almost exploded. He did not dare to raise his finger at Tianyang. He stared at Tianyang and took 3 steps back in anger. That's right. Was the Hong family worthy? Previously, Tianyang had sent all the higher-ups of the Hong family flying with a single finger. Although Hong Tsang, the ancestor of the Hong family, had not made a move, Hong Tsang had made a move. So what? If Tianyang wanted to destroy the Hong family, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. There was only to go through so much trouble. One should know that although Flowing Sky City had order, it was only relatively speaking. If you had peerless strength, you could directly destroy a force as fast as lightning. Other than those righteous people whose brains were damaged, no one would care about you at all. In the world of martial arts, everything depended on one's strength. No matter what, we still need to check. Hong Song had planned to let the master of the Hong family count the number of poisons and give them to young Master Yin. Now that he heard that, he was so scared that his brain exploded. Young Master Yin was the young master of the Yin family in Flowing Sky City. It was not easy for the Hong family to get on the good side of the Yin family. If they gave the poisons to young Master Yin, because of this, there was no need for the enemy to do anything. The enraged Yin family could destroy the Hong family with a flip of their hand. Hurry up and search, Hong Tsang said angrily. At the side, the group of elders were also shocked and broke out in cold sweat. They started to search as well. Tianyang looked at them and did not bother to say anything. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, he turned around and left the meeting hall. Although the meeting hall was heavily guarded by the Hong family. Now, almost all the senior members of the Hong family had been defeated by Tianyang. Who else would dare to stop Tianyang? Did they want to die? The Hong family is not very powerful, but the construction of their territory is not bad. Tianyang walked around the Hong family casually, looked around, and chuckled. The Hong family was powerful and could build such a territory in Flowing Sky City where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. The designer of the Hong family had good taste. However, that was history. The Hong family was probably just a second-rate family now. Otherwise, they would not have let an old little divine alchemist carry the burden. Tianyang only stopped here for a while to wait for the Dragon God assembly to start. He could not be bothered with the Hong family. You are the person that the old ancestor brought back, the person who saved his life. Just as Tianyang was casually strolling around the Hong residence, a clear and melodious voice suddenly rang out. Tianyang turned his head and saw a young girl who looked about 15 or 16 years old, poking her head out of the bushes and looking at Tianyang. Half of her long hair was still in the bushes, only revealing her pretty face. Even Tianyang could not help but laugh when he saw the girl's posture. What are you doing? You haven't answered my question. The girl hiding in the bushes looked at Tianyang and said seriously, Yes. Tianyang raised the corner of his mouth and smiled. Wow. Hearing this, the girl jumped up and her leaves flew in all directions. It's you. I didn't expect you to be so young. Those who went to the meeting hall were only the higher-ups of the family. The rest of the people on the wind bath naturally went back to their own homes to look for their mothers when they returned to the Hong family. Once they communicated with their clansmen, the news of Tianyang instantly killing Tang Fei spread. My name is Hong Xiaochen. I'm hiding from my cousin here. Hong Xiaochen smiled and then looked at Tianyang from head to toe. Why are you so powerful? Why do I feel that you are about the same age as me? Hearing this, Tianyang touched his nose and did not reply. At this moment, An angry roar suddenly came from the side. Xiaoqin, stay away from that guy. The next moment, a young man of about 20 or 30 years old rushed out from the side and looked at Tianyang with hostility. Don't think that you can fool us, just because you can fool the old ancestor. Question mark. Tianyang was stunned. The old ancestor is already more than 8,000 years old. He is naturally delirious now. That's why he was tricked by a treacherous villain like you. What do you mean by encountering a group of bandits? I'm afraid this was all directed and acted out by you. Only the old ancestor would be fooled by you. With your strength, you don't even know if you are in the heavenly ascension state. How dare you act so presumptuously here? The young man sneered and then pulled Hong Xiaoqin behind him. Although the Hong family is not strong, it's not a place where a swindler like you can behave atrociously. If you know what's good for you, take these 5 million gold coins and leave. If you don't, wait for me to strike. The young man said. The next moment, Wu Zun's aura of a peak LV1 state was released from his body. Hearing this, Tianyang was speechless. Chapter 1140. Tianyang was speechless, but he could not be bothered to argue with this guy who was only at the peak of LV1 of Wu Zun realm. This little fellow was full of himself. He wasn't his father, so he didn't educate him. Oomph. At least you know what's good for you. Seeing that Tianyang had no reaction, the young man sneered, thinking that Tianyang had acquiesced. This is 5 million gold coins. It's nothing to the Hong family, but to a swindler like you, it's probably very precious. Take this money and get out of the Hong family. The young man flicked his finger, and a golden card flew out from his space bag. This card was only made by a mortal bank and did not have much true origin energy. To a cultivator, it was a humiliation to use it. Tianyang couldn't be bothered to pay attention to it. He allowed the card to run out of momentum in the air and fall to the ground. What are you doing? Hearing this, the young man was furious. You swindler, how dare you look down on me? In the next moment, the young man waved his hand and the golden card returned to his hand. In the next moment, the young man dashed out. Then you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. In the next moment, his speed soared to a powerful level. His fist was condensed with true origin energy, and he blasted it toward Tianyang. Earth Dragon Rising Fist. The young man roared, and Wu Zun's true origin energy was released. Bang! A dull sound was heard. Tianyang did not even bother to move a finger, and the protective true origin energy around him blocked the attack. The protective true origin energy was a defense that automatically formed outside the body when the true origin energy was strengthened to a certain extent. In a battle between powerhouses of the same level, the protective true origin energy was an existence that could be easily destroyed. Generally speaking, it was useless. However, the young man's punch directly bombarded Tianyang's protective true origin energy, and then awkwardly, this useless attack did not even cause a ripple. On the other hand, the young man was directly rebounded by Tianyang's protective true origin energy, and the young man cried out in pain. What sorcery is this? The young man instantly bounced back and landed on the ground. Looking at his swollen right hand, he revealed a look of horror. His punch was ferocious and domineering. Even if there were countless geniuses in Flowing Sky City and Wu Zun realm at the peak of the first level, not many could withstand this move. Not to mention, he was completely defenseless, standing there and letting him hit him. Generally speaking, when a normal person encountered such a situation, they would immediately know that Tianyang's strength was not as weak as they thought. However, this young man was clearly no ordinary person. It's just protective Jinyuan. Tianyang shrugged and turned to leave. Protective Jinyuan? What a joke. Hearing this, the young man laughed disdainfully. This is clearly a treasure of my Hong family. Who would have thought that a liar like you would not only have the guts to deceive my Hong clan's ancestor, but you even dare to steal my Hong clan's treasures and abuse your power? Today I, Hong Lin, will show everyone your true colors. The young man roared furiously, and in the next moment, he shot out explosively again. Wu Zun's Zhen Yuan at the peak of the first level was released. Be a good boy and fall. The young man laughed loudly, as if he could already see Tianyong being hit by his punch, and then he would become the Hong clan's hero, taking back the treasures from Tianyong and being praised by everyone. Earth Dragon overturning the sky. Heaven class, upper martial skill. One had to admit that although the young man himself might be a little retarded, his talent was still not bad. Although Wu Zun was at the peak of the first level, he was still able to unleash the power of the second level of Wu Zun realm. In the entire Flowing Sky City, this was not considered much. It was a pity. Wu Zun realm at the second level. It could not break Tianyong's protective Jin Yuan. Boom! His fist seemed to have hit an iron pillar. His right hand, which was already slightly red and swollen, was now completely swollen. Furthermore, the palm of his hand was even torn by the rebounding force of the protective Jin Yuan, leaving behind streaks of blood. How is this possible? Seeing this, the young man's pupils constricted. He could not accept this. Could it be that you actually dared to steal my Hong clan's semi-sage weapon? How dare you? The young man roared and rushed out again, throwing the same punch as before. Earth Dragon overturning the sky. Stop it! At this moment, an angry roar suddenly came from the side. This roar was like rolling thunder, striking the young man. The young man's body instantly stiffened, and he looked to the side. Wu Zun realm at the 8th level, the master of the Hong clan. Master. The young man saw the master of the Hong clan as if he had seen a life-saving straw and hurriedly called out, "Look, this liar deceived the patriarch and even stole my Hong clan's semi-sage defensive treasure. He's trying to escape now. I attacked, but this guy blocked my attack with the semi-sage weapon. If he didn't come, he would have escaped." The young man cried out sorrowfully. His words were tearful, as if Tianyong wasn't just passing by, but had made him a cuckold. If it were anyone else, they would have believed him directly. After all, the young man was from the Hong clan. However, the master of the Hong clan had witnessed Tianyong's power before. Scram! The master of the Hong clan glanced at Tianyong, who was expressionless, and instantly sent the young man flying with a backhand blow. This time, the rebounding force of the protective true origin could not be compared to it. The young man only felt that a few of his ribs were broken, and blood kept spurting out his mouth. He was in a daze. Didn't he find a swindler who wanted to steal and cheat his cousin? How could he be sent flying by the master of the Hong clan? Could it be that the master of the Hong clan hit the wrong person in his rage? Master Tianyong, it's my fault for not managing my subordinates well, resulting in such a person among my disciples. Please forgive me, Master Tianyong. However, in the next moment, the master of the Hong clan's actions completely stunned the young man. What was going on? Oh, Tianyong nodded indifferently. You checked and appraised the items so quickly. No. The master of the Hong clan was a little embarrassed when he heard that. Previously, he and the others did not trust Tianyong at all. It was only due to pressure that they checked the treasures that Hong Tsong brought back from afar. In the end, they really found a few suspicious items. At that time, a few elderly clan elders were so frightened that they almost fainted. After all, these were for the Yin clan's first young master Yin. If something went wrong, the Hong family would be annihilated. We found a few suspicious items. However, the patriarch is not sure, so he asked Master Tianyong to appraise them, the master of the Hong clan said in a trembling voice. Hearing that, Tianyong nodded slightly, then looked at Hong Xiaochen, who was obviously frightened and at a loss. Call her over while you're at it. Then, Tianyong ignored the master of the Hong clan and walked toward the Hong clan's meeting hall. If he did not see wrongly, when a young man was sent flying by the master of the Hong clan, rays of light automatically lit up on Hong Xiaochen's body. The power within the light was recorded in the memories of the divine sky martial honorable. It was also recorded in the myriad pill scripture. Chapter 1141, Clear Rain Constitution. At first glance, the name sounded strange. However, in Shuntian Wuzun's memory, Hong Xiaochen's constitution was the Clear Rain Constitution. This constitution was much weaker than the Nine Nether Saint Constitution and the Icy Sky Spiritual Constitution. In fact, it had no combat power at all. However, it was also a constitution that was extremely difficult to find in the myriad of worlds. If it could be activated successfully, it would be one of the strongest alchemy constitutions in the Great Thousand World. The Hong family has the Clear Rain constitution. As a minor divine alchemist, Hong Song couldn't tell. Tianyang's alchemy cultivation might be higher than Hong Song's. Naturally, he could tell that Hong Xiaoqian did not have any alchemy aura. Even his real essence qi was pitifully weak. For a world like the Xintian macro world, where the martial way was flourishing, it could be said that he was a waste of talent. However, Tianyang did not care. The Hong family had failed to recognize him. What did it have to do with him? Call Hong Xiaoqian. Hearing this, the patriarch of the Hong clan was stunned as well, and he revealed a strange expression as he looked at Hong Xiaoqian, who was stunned as well. Could it be that Tianyang had taken a liking to this little guy? Hong Xiaoqian was just a collateral disciple in the Hong family. Because of his cute appearance and weak cultivation, he was popular among the disciples. That was why the master of the Hong family had an impression of him. That's right. Tianyang looks like a young man. It's normal for him to be so hot-blooded. The master of the Hong family muttered to himself. Then, he looked at Hong Xiaoqian and said, "Xiaoqian, why aren't you coming over?" Hong Xiaoqian was surprised to hear that. Was this still the strict master of the Hong family? Yes. Hong Xiaoqian quickly followed. Tianyang had no idea what the master of the Hong family, who was hundreds of years old, was thinking. He walked toward the meeting hall. As for the young man from the Hong family, nothing would happen to him if he just lay there. The master of the Hong family could not be bothered. "Young hero Tianyang, you're finally here." Just as Tianyang stepped into the meeting hall, an extremely old and excited voice was heard. Hong Song rushed in front of Tianyang in quick strides. Even with Tianyang's mental fortitude, he was startled when he saw a huge old face suddenly appear in front of him. "Following your instructions, we carefully examined the contents of this item. Surprisingly, we actually managed to find something," Hong Song said excitedly. He looked at Tianyang with gratitude. Fortunately, Heavenly Sun was kind enough to help them point out the problem with the treasure. Otherwise, if he offended young Master Yin, his Hong family would really be finished. There are some problems with these herbs, but they are harmless. How can you say that they are poisonous? The Hong Tsang, the master of the Hong family's old man's words, the Hong Tsang sect, the Tsang, green jade grass, jade rhododendron, crescent moon jade. These herbs are naturally poisonous. The reason why they are so valuable is because of their toxicity. If you say that they are poisonous, then we might as well give young Master Yin a box of cotton. Cotton definitely isn't poisonous. The master of the Hong family laughed coldly. In front of him were the poisonous herbs that the senior members of the Hong family had spent so much effort to find. "Shut up." Hong Song was respectful and grateful to Tianyang. However, he was not so polite to the master of the Hong family who had been doubting Tianyang. "Young hero Tianyang, please help us identify them." In fact, Hong Song also had some doubts in his heart. After all, most of the poisonous things that he found were only found through nitpicking. Even if he sent them, there was no risk at all. Did Tianyang really find something, or was he just boasting? If it was the latter, even if he was indebted to Tianyang for saving his life, Hong Song did not want to build a good relationship with him. He's right. However, Tianyang did not even look at the treasures and spoke directly. "Green jade grass, jade rhododendron, and crescent moon jade. It's normal for these herbs to be poisonous. Those are not poisonous are all of the best quality. I don't think you can get your hands on them." I knew it. Hearing this, the master of the Hong family snorted. "I admit that you are strong, but that doesn't mean that you can spout nonsense. I'm a rank 6 intermediate appraiser. Although I'm not as noble as an alchemist or a formation master, I still have some ability. If these things were poisonous, with my rank 6 intermediate appraiser cultivation, I would have identified them long ago. Now, where can I find them?" The master of the Hong family sneered. However, Tianyang smiled lightly and looked at the master of the Hong family with an inexplicable expression. "Hong Xiaoqian." Tianyang suddenly spoke. Hearing this, Hong Xiaoqian, who was trembling at the back and looking at the senior members of the Hong family whom he usually did not see, jumped in fright when his name was called. Sensing that everyone's gaze was on him, Hong Xiaoqian's face turned red. He looked at Tianyong and said, "Why did you call me? Go and bring that stone over." Tianyong pointed at an inconspicuous stone in the pile of treasures and said, "Clear spirit stone? That's just a basic material for setting up a formation." Hearing this, some people raised their doubts. They had seen clear spirit stone before. There were countless of such materials in the entire West Spirit State. First young master, Yin needed clear spirit stone to set up his formation, which was why he bought it. Who would tamper with it? However, after Hong Xiaoqian received a nod from the master of the Hong family, he also ran over. When he passed by the senior members of the Hong family, his hair stood on end. Is this the stone? The clear spirit stone was not small and was the most eye-catching among these treasures. In the middle of this group of priceless treasures, it emitted a faint green light. It looked extremely ordinary. Hong Xiaoqian is only in the Tao fire realm. How could he move the clear spirit stone? At this moment, Hong Tsang frowned. What was Tianyong doing? However, Tianyong was unmoved. That's right, it's this stone. Even the elders who had been questioning Tianyong shut their mouths at this moment and looked at Tianyong with a cold smile. This clear spirit stone was poisonous? What a joke. Apart from setting up some special formations, the clear spirit stone was useless. Even if it was poisoned, it would be extremely easy to discover. With his intermediate rank 6 appraisal skills, if there was a problem with his clear spirit stone, he would have seen through it long ago. Hey, Hong Xiaoqian sized up the clear spirit stone that was 4 or 5 times her size. Then, she could only lie on it and forcefully lift it up. However, in the next moment, the clear spirit stone suddenly emitted rays of light. Why is a little light? Hong Xiaoqian opened her eyes in surprise. At this moment, the layer of green light on the surface of the clear spirit stone quietly disintegrated. At the bottom, streams of black mud flowed down. Chapter 1142. Streams of rancid black mud flowed down the clear spirit stone. Or rather, the clear spirit stone was the source of the rancid black mud. Seeing this, Hong Xiaoqian, who had never seen such a big scene, was so frightened that his entire body trembled. He immediately dashed out at a speed that was impossible for a Tao Fire Realm cultivator. The clear spirit stone also smashed onto the ground. However, the strange thing was, such a heavy clear spirit stone actually only made a soft sound when it landed on the ground. As for the ground made of solid rock, it was now corroded into a deep pit. At the periphery of the deep pit, the remaining black mud was still churning and bubbling. What's going on? At this moment, the Hong family patriarch cried out in shock. He reached out and grabbed Hong Xiaoqian, who had run off to who knows where. He placed him at the back and looked at the black mud that had burned through the ground with a serious expression. No one would have thought that this inconspicuous clear spirit stone actually hid such a thing. This ground is protected by a formation. This black mud burned through in an instant. On the other hand, the other elder's face revealed a trace of horror as he muttered to himself. Hearing this, the Hong family patriarch's face twitched and became even uglier. Green daylily grass, jade rhododendron, and river crescent jade? That was bullsh *T. The real poison that Tianyong was referring to was not these things at all. It was this inconspicuous clear spirit stone that had not been carefully appraised. This terrifying poison. However, compared to the Hong family patriarch's regret, Hong Tsang was more concerned about this black mud. The entire meeting hall was protected by a formation, and the ground was no exception. Its power could even withstand a full blow from Wu Zun, who was in the 7th stage of the state. In the end, it was directly burned through by this strange black mud. If this thing was given to first young master Yin, Hong Tsang did not dare to imagine. Perhaps first young master Yin would be swallowed by this black mud and killed directly. Where did this come from? At this moment, finally, a Hong family elder looked at the black mud with a horrified expression and shouted in disbelief. This black mud, at a glance, was no ordinary poisonous substance. If it could even burn through the Hong family's array formation, wouldn't burning through some Wuzun be a piece of cake? The most frightening thing was that this poison had been hidden in their treasures from the very beginning. If Tianyong had not pointed it out, they might have given it away just like that. Then, the Hong family would be finished. That's not right. My clear spirit stone was obtained from a famous auction house in West Spirit State. Although it's not the best quality, it's still pretty good. Given that auction house's style of doing things, they definitely wouldn't do such a thing to ruin their own reputation. Hong Tsang asked doubtfully. At the same time, he waved his hand. Apart from the clear spirit rock, which had completely turned into black mud, the other treasures were kept in his interspatial bag. After mentioning the clear spirit stone, Tianyong did not say anything else. It seemed that the only poison in this treasure was the clear spirit stone, which had obviously been tampered with. That said, the only thing that remained was that the poisonous substance was extremely terrifying. How simple, Tianyong chuckled. Just because it wasn't tampered with before I bought it, doesn't mean that it wasn't tampered with after I bought it. As for who it is, you'll have to find out for yourself. Then, Tianyong turned around and prepared to leave. Wait. At this moment, another familiar voice was heard. Tianyong stood still but did not turn his head. This clear spirit stone has been appraised by us and is extremely safe. Why did it turn into this black mud filled with terrifying poison the moment you came? It was the elder who questioned Tianyong again. Tianyong really felt that this guy was either kicked in the head by a donkey, or he was infected by the donkey and became a stubborn retard who refused to let go even when there was irrefutable evidence. Or he was a retard who was kicked in the head by a donkey and would not hesitate to expose himself. When I went to get it, you probably said that I tampered with it. Now that I've asked the Hong family to get it, you're saying that it turned into poison the moment I came. Next, are you going to say that I, Tianyong, am proficient in the way of poison and can turn all the treasures within sight into terrifying poison? Tianyong chuckled. Hearing this, everyone, including Hong Tsang, was embarrassed. Tianyong kindly reminded them that there was poison hidden in the treasures. It was fine if they did not believe him, but they even questioned him again and again. They did not take Tianyong seriously at all. Now that Tianyong casually retorted, not only were they not angry, they even felt that it was a little light. You. Hearing this, the elder who was kicked by the donkey was speechless. Then his face turned cold. He glanced coldly at Tianyong, then looked away. You guessed right. However, I, Hong Haiyan, don't have much trust in outsiders. The elder sneered, then turned around and left. Hong Tsang smiled awkwardly. Young hero Tianyong. Elder Hong Haiyan is actually a loyal person. He is not much younger than me, but his strength is slightly weaker. Otherwise, he would be an ancestor. It's just that 300 years ago, Elder Hong Haiyan's son was severely injured because of a guest of the Hong family. He's still in a coma now, so Elder Hong Haiyan is extremely wary of all outsiders. He's even hostile. Actually, Elder Hong Haiyan is a very good person, Hong Tsang explained. Hearing this, Tianyong smiled noncommittally. Just as the head of the Hong family was about to explain, a sharp shout was suddenly heard. Yin family, Yin Shilong. First young master Yin is here. A loud shout was heard. Hearing this, everyone in the conference hall revealed a trace of surprise. First young master Yin is here? Quick, quick, hurry up and welcome him. Hong Tsang was the first to react. His expression changed drastically. He waved his hand and was the first to walk out of the meeting hall. The other elders did not dare to delay and quickly followed Hong Tsang out. Instantly, only Tianyong and Hong Xiaochen were left in the meeting hall. Shall we go out and take a look? Tianyong glanced at Hong Xiaochen, who was at a loss, and said with a smile. Hearing this, Hong Xiaochen nodded and followed him out. However, as soon as he walked out, Tianyong suddenly felt that the surrounding atmosphere was slightly strange. Hong Tsang and the others, who were supposed to welcome him, were standing at the door. Not far away, a sickly young man and a man in a black robe were walking side by side toward him. That is, Hong Xiaochen also felt that something was wrong and asked curiously, That is first young Master Yin. The head of the Hong family squeezed these few words out from between his teeth. The one beside him. Chapter 1143. It's the Wu family. Tianyang could even hear a trace of hatred in his voice. What's the matter? The Hong family head gritted his teeth as he spoke. The Wu family was the Hong family's biggest enemy in Flowing Sky City. The reason why the Hong family patriarch was forced to travel thousands of miles to find the treasure that young Master Yin needed was because of the Wu family's persecution. Now that they had met, it was natural for them to be enraged. However, Hong Tsang's expression changed slightly. Why would young Master Yin, who had a good relationship with the Hong family, come to the Hong family with the Wu family? Young Master Yin, please excuse me for not going out to meet you. However, Hong Tsang reacted quickly. He knew that this was not the time to find fault, so he greeted young Master Yin with a smile. Young Master Yin was unhappy that he was interrupted. He glanced at Hong Tsang and said plainly, "Young Master Yin." Then he continued his conversation with the Wu family members. "Old Wu, you said that you have a way to treat the cold nether fire poison. Is that true?" First young Master Yin had an extremely sickly face. He looked arrogantly at the black-robed man beside him and said indifferently. The black-robed man smiled. "Of course, the Yin family is so powerful in Flowing Sky City. If we were not confident, why would we ask for it?" He meant that he had a way and helped the Yin family at the same time. The faces of Hong Tsang and the others turned ugly when they heard this. The Hong family patriarch went to welcome young Master Yin personally, but young Master Yin only responded and continued to talk with the other party. It was as if Hong Tsang, the Hong family patriarch, was just air. He was completely ignored. "Young Master Yin, this is not the place to talk. Why don't we go to the Hong family's guest hall?" Hong Tsang gritted his teeth. Young Master Yin looked at Hong Tsang and nodded. "Not bad. At least you know what's good for you." Then he took the black-robed man's hand and smiled warmly. "Old Wu, let's go." "Thank you for your kindness, young Master Yin." The black-robed man chuckled. Seeing that, Tianyang's expression remained unchanged. As for the others, their expressions turned incomparably ugly. Tianyang shrugged his shoulders and quietly looked at the group of people. "May I know why young Master Yin has come to my Hong clan?" Hong family, in the living room. In fact, the Hong family was prepared to use the meeting hall to entertain young Master Yin. However, the meeting hall had been corroded by the black mud that flowed out of the clear spirit stone. In desperation, they could only use this backup. "Oh, it's nothing." Young Master Yin looked at Hong Tsang absent-mindedly. A hint of disdain appeared in his eyes. "I'm just here to see if you found the thing I asked you to find." Hearing this, Hong Tsang was stunned. Looking for something? In the next moment, Hong Tsang came to an understanding. It was those treasures that they'd traveled a great distance to search for. If Tianyang had not pointed out the poisonous creature's existence earlier, they would have hurriedly given the valuable interspatial bag to Ouyang Ming as soon as they heard him. But now, although they had found the poison, who knew if there were other poisons? Or were there other treasures that had been contaminated with the black mud on the clear spirit stone? The corner of Hong Tsang's mouth twitched. Now, he definitely couldn't give those treasures to young Master Yin. Seeing this, no matter how useless young Master Yin was, he could tell that Hong Tsang was in a difficult position. "I didn't expect the dignified Hong family to be so inefficient. Old Wu, let's go. We can't rely on the Hong family for this cold nether fire poison." After saying that, he stood up directly without giving any face. Seeing this, Hong Tsang's expression instantly turned ugly. No matter how terrible the Hong family was, at least they had interacted with your father's generation. Since when was it your turn as a junior to comment here? However, Hong Tsang did not have the chance to say this. After all, the Hong family now was no longer the Hong family of the past. He was too old, and it was difficult for him to even maintain his current status as a second-rate family. As for the Yin family, not only was it still the Yin family, but it had even developed. As a result, Hong Tsang, the patriarch of the family, had to be respectful when he met a junior like young Master Yin. He was afraid that he would slight him at all. At this moment, Young Master Yin suddenly raised his eyebrows and revealed a hint of surprise. In front of him was Hong Xiaochun, who was standing in the corner with a blank expression. I didn't expect your Hong family to have such a person. Looking at the innocent, pure, and adorable Hong Xiaochun, young Master Yan's lips curled up, and a ray of light shot out from his eyes. Sensing this gaze, Hong Xiaochun instantly shrank back and did not dare to look at young Master Yin. However, young Master Yin did not care at all. He turned his head and looked at the patriarch of the Hong family. The one with the surname Hong. Didn't your Hong family have a favor to ask of me? Now, it's time for you to pay the price. I think, as one of the sons of the first wife of the Yin family, young Master Yin Shilong, I can't possibly not have the right to bring someone away, right? Young Master Yan's pale face flushed red, and the way he looked at Hong Xiaochun became unbridled. Hearing this, the patriarch of the Hong family's pupils instantly constricted, and he revealed an extremely furious expression. This young Master Yin did not give the Hong family any face at all. Forget it. Now, he actually wanted to lay his hands on a disciple of the Hong family. All right. At this moment, an old voice sounded. Xiaochun is only in the Dao fire state. There's no use in keeping him in the family. Since young Master Yin has taken a liking to him, then take him away. Hong family, Elder Hong Haiyan. No one knew when this fellow had appeared among the crowd again, and the expression on his face was even uglier than when he discovered the clear spirit stone. However, the patriarch of the Hong family was instantly enraged when he heard this. Hong Haiyan, what are you saying? My Hong family has not reached the point where we have to sacrifice our disciples. Boom! A loud sound was heard, and the patriarch of the Hong family was directly hit in the head by a true origin light ball, although he was not injured at all. However, it made him tremble all over. I say, what are you, an old man who's about to die, still grumbling about here? Who dares to not give the person that I, Yin Shilong, want? Your family's elder has already said so. Why aren't you bringing him over? Do you really want me to snatch him by force? Young Master Yan's pale face revealed a trace of impatience as he ordered from above. Hearing this, the patriarch of the Hong family gritted his teeth. Yes, his Hong family had not reached the point of betraying their disciples. However, now, he was not the one betraying them. It was young Master Yin who was snatching him by force. The Yin family, which was countless times more powerful than the Hong family, was snatching him by force. What did it matter if the Hong family agreed or not? He's just a Dao fire state trash. Seeing this, Hong Haihan smiled coldly. It's you, young Master Yin. Don't worry with my abilities. It's easy for me to protect a small family like yours. Young Master Yan's face revealed a trace of lust. In the next moment, a pair of thin and weak hands stretched out toward the pale Hong Xiaochun. Countless people in the Hong family closed their eyes. The weather has been dry recently. Be careful not to break your arm. At this moment, a faint laugh was heard. Young Master Yin turned a deaf ear to it and continued forward. Whoosh! A stream of light flashed past. A right arm fell off. Chapter 1144. A ray of light flashed past. Instantly, blood spurted out. An arm was severed and fell to the ground. Bang! The heavy object fell to the ground with a sound that was neither loud nor soft. At this moment, the entire place fell into an incomparably deathly silence. Everyone was dumbfounded as they stared at the ground in disbelief. That thin and pale arm was still bleeding profusely, as if it still had a chance to live. In the next moment, a heart-wrenching scream erupted in the guest room. Ah! Young Master Yin roared crazily, his aura fluctuating. The next moment, he knelt down in pain. Oh, my hand! My hand! However, even with this scream, the guest room was still as silent as before. Only young Master Yin was screaming on the spot. I didn't want to care about anything at first, but there's someone in the Hong family who's more pleasing to the eye. Tianyang muttered and pulled with his hand. An invisible force pulled Hong Xiaochun behind him. You're crazy. At this moment, Hong Haihan's pupils contracted as he glared at Tianyang. His eyes were bloodshot. How dare you attack young Master Yin? Whoosh! However, Before Hong Haiyan could finish his sentence, a ray of light that was no different from the previous one shot toward him. Humph! Young Master Yin is only in the heavenly ascension state. That's why you could succeed. I'm Wu Zun in LV7. Hong Haiyan snorted. Wu Zun's LV7 Inner Yuan was released in an attempt to block this attack. Golden Bell Shield. A shield that looked like a golden bell suddenly condensed in front of Hong Haiyan. In the next moment, it turned into an impenetrable wall, blocking in front of the flowing light. This attack can sever the arm of young Master Yin, who's only in the heavenly ascension state, but it can't break through my defense. Hong Haiyan sneered. Although Tianyang had already demonstrated his strength in the meeting hall, Hong Haiyan still did not care. However, Hong Haiyan did not care at all. This was because he did not use his full strength in the battle at the meeting hall. What kind of power could a brat who was still wet behind the ears have? He didn't underestimate his opponent at all. His first move was the half-saint level Golden Bell Divine Shield. Boom! A deafening blast took place all of a sudden. In the next moment, the energy ripples were like stormy waves, as if they were going to devour the surrounding space. And in the next moment, before Hong Haiyan could react, that streak of light had forcefully broken through the Golden Bell Divine Shield. After it was destroyed, it split into two and turned into two extremely sharp rays of light that slashed towards Hong Haiyan's arms. Whoosh! Hong Haiyan's protective quintessence did not provide any protection at all. It was as weak as tofu. Like Master Yin, Hong Haiyan had also lost his right arm. Or rather, it was even worse. Both of his arms were directly cut off. Unless a saint of the alchemy, Tao, made a move, no one would be able to reattach his arms, even if they had the ability to reach the heavens. Not only did the two streams of light sever his arm, but they also messed up the meridians in his arm. Ah! Hong Haiyan screamed in agony. His face was filled with disbelief as he roared. This? How is this possible? That was the half-saint level Golden Bell Divine Shield that he had displayed Wu Zun's full strength as a level 7 martial artist. Even if Wu Zun, who was a level 8 martial artist, attacked with all his strength, he would not be able to break through it within a few minutes. Tianyang, a brat who was still wet behind the ears, had actually broken through his Golden Bell Divine Shield in an instant. Who exactly was this person? You. At this moment, the Hong family elder beside him also showed a hint of anger. After attacking young Master Yin, he actually attacked an elder of the Hong clan? What exactly was this brat doing here? As for the black-robed man from the Wu family, his eyes, which were hidden under the black robe, flashed with joy. He had only come this time to win over Master Yin, and at the same time to take a look at the person who could make Hong Tsang escape unscathed from the Tangfei bandits. Now that he thought about it, he knew who this person was. This person actually dared to attack Master Yin of the Flowing Sky City, who was like a local tyrant in Flowing Sky City. This person was simply stupid. This brat is definitely going to die, and the Hong family is going to be finished. The black-robed man's face, which was hidden under the black robe, laughed sinisterly. Then, he turned around and prepared to leave. Did I say you could leave? At this moment, Tianyang's voice was heard. The black-robed man's body completely stopped. However, was Tianyang really a fool? He was just a level 6 martial artist, Wu Zun, and was definitely not Tianyang's match. However, even though he was stopped, the black-robed man was completely fearless. What? After offending the Yin family and the Hong family, you still want to offend the Wu family? Don't tell me you want to make an enemy of the entire Flowing Sky City? The black-robed man sneered. He really did not believe that Tianyang would dare to attack him. After all, he had the Wu family behind him. The Wu family, which was more powerful than the Hong family and was not much weaker than the Yin family. The Yin family was the top overlord of Flowing Sky City. The most powerful person in the Yin family was at the peak of Wu Zun. The Wu family was a first-rate family. The most powerful person in the Wu family had reached level 9 martial artist, Wu Zun. As for the Hong family, they were second-rate family. Under the attack of the Wu family, they were barely surviving. The most powerful person in the Hong family was Wu Zun, who was at level 8 martial artist. If he offended all three families, that would be no different from declaring war on the entire Flowing Sky City. Ha! Hearing this, Tianyong smiled slightly. The Yin family and the Wu family are nothing. How can they be my enemy? Hearing this, the entire place was dead silent. Countless people, including Master Yin, who had his right arm chopped off, and Hong Haiyan, who had both arms chopped off, stared at Tianyong in disbelief. If they had not sensed that Tianyong's aura was still extremely stable, they would have thought that he was still alive. Everyone would have thought that Tianyong had gone mad from his cultivation. You're asking for death. At this moment, the black-robed man from the Wu family's face darkened. Elder Hey, Elder Bai, do it. How dare you attack the first young master and spout such nonsense? You're asking for death. At this moment, under the first young Master Yan's feet, in the shadows, suddenly, two old men rushed out. One of them had an arrogant face and was wearing a long black robe. The other had a cold and disdainful expression and was covered in white. Elder Hey, Elder Hey, the Yin family's Wu Zun, who is at the peak of level 8 martial artist. It's actually these two who are guarding the first young Master Yin. If these two attack together, their combat power is enough to defeat Wu Zun. At this moment, the Hong family's patriarch exclaimed in despair. The Elder Hey and Elder Hey were actually here. Brat, pay for your actions and words. Elder Hey smiled ferociously, and Wu Zun's true origin exploded. Black mystic explosive fist. Streams of vigorous black flames burst out from the ground. At the side, Elder Bai also revealed a cold expression and stabbed out with his sword. Starfall sword of white flowers. 2 ants. Seeing this, Tianyong shook his head and sighed. Great success, Dragon King body explode. He stretched out his right hand and swung it to the right. Bang! Bang! Elder Hey and Elder Hay's attacks were slapped together. Chapter 1145. A slap was even worse than swatting a mosquito. However, the black and white elders exploded into a mist of blood under this light slap. Even their primordial spirits were smashed into smithereens, and there was no longer any sign of life. At this moment, even the black-robed man from the Wu family, who had always been confident, was trembling all over. The ferocious face hidden under the black robe turned into a look of horror. He was trembling with fear. The black and white elders were famous executioners in Flowing Sky City. They had killed countless powerful cultivators who had dominated the city for a time. Back then, the black and white elders seemed to have killed many people in Flowing Sky City. It was only when the Yin family patriarch, who had just broken through to the peak Wu Zun realm, intervened that they were captured and subdued. Now, although they were no longer as ruthless as before, after cultivating the Yin family's martial techniques, the black and white elders' ferocious reputation was much stronger than before. Now, they were dead, killing 2 Wu Zun realm peak LV8 with 1 slap. Not bad. Tianyong smiled slightly. When he was rushing, he was not just rushing. Along the way, he had been communicating with the little golden girl. Now, his cultivation of the saint path had improved a little compared to before. If he had improved on 1 saint path, it might not have been a big deal. However, Tianyong had 5 saint paths, and one of them was close to the saint path. If all 5 saint paths were strengthened, then his combat strength would skyrocket. Killing 2 Wu Zun realm peak LV8 with 1 slap should not have been a big deal. The black and white elders died, just like that. On the other hand, Hong Tsong was stunned. He looked at the ground, which was covered in blood. The black and white elders, who were notorious for killing, died just like that. All of this happened too quickly. It gave Hong Tsong a feeling that it was extremely unreal. However, in the next moment, Tianyong moved. Since you're here, leave something behind. Tianyong smiled slightly and stretched out his hand. Wu Zun realm peak LV7 True Yuan slowly surged. In the next moment, streams of light bloomed. Bloodburn. At this moment, the Wu family black-robed man finally made his move. He opened his mouth and bit down, spitting out a mouthful of blood essence. In midair, it suddenly burst into flames and turned into terrifying flames. Die. In the next moment, the entire world seemed to fall silent. A terrifying cold air was released in all directions. What was most shocking was that, within this cold air, there was actually an incomparably terrifying fire poison. Cold nether fire poison. At this moment, young Master Yan's pupil shrank, and he roared in disbelief. How could you have the cold nether fire poison? No one could answer him, but first young Master Yan was not stupid. He had probably figured it out by now. The dark cold fire poison could only be unleashed by someone who possessed a peak rank 6 spiritual fire, the dark cold fire. The black-robed man from the Wu family released large amounts of frigid nether fire poison the moment he attacked. In other words, the frigid nether fire poison in his body was the frigid nether fire poison. It was done by this black-robed man. Block. Cold underworld freeze. The black-robed man ignored first young Master Yan. After all, although first young Master Yan had an extraordinary background, he was only a hedonistic young master. Once he was free, he could kill him any time he wanted. Wu Zun, a mere stage 7 martial artist, was able to kill the black and white elders earlier. He probably relied on some concealment technique, but it's useless against me. The black-robed man snorted coldly. His figure flashed, and he retreated out of the Hong family as he waved his hand to release the killing move. That means that if I want to leave, he can't stop me. Another spiritual fire? When Tianyang saw this, he raised his eyebrows slightly. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing an excited expression. The powerful 10,000 godly flame seemed to be related to Tianyang's innately terminated meridians. Its power was unusually strong. If the current Tianyang used all his trump cards, he could rival an ordinary half-saint. Among them, the true destructive flames, which had been devoured and strengthened by the 10,000 godly flame, accounted for a large proportion. Although the cold nether fire was only a rank 6 spiritual fire, its technique was somewhat unique. Although it was also a poisonous flame, it was much stronger than the 10,000 poison nether fire. If it devoured, Tianyang's true destructive flames would break through again. Destroy. Tianyang softly spat out a word. In the next instant, a turbulent black flame turned into a giant hand that reached the heavens and the earth. It attacked the icy mist formed by the cold nether fire. Wherever the lock passed, even the air was ignited. The cold air on the cold nether fire was rapidly evaporating. There's fire poison in the cold nether fire. Once you're poisoned, you'll be tortured by the cold nether fire for the rest of your life, unless the owner of the cold nether fire intervenes. At this moment, Hong Tsang roared. Although Tianyang had cut off the Hong family elder's arms, the most important thing now was to prevent the Wu family member from escaping. If he escaped, the Hong family would be annihilated. I know. Tianyang nodded slightly, but did not take any action. Although the 10,000 poison nether fire was not as poisonous as the cold nether fire, it had been upgraded to rank 7 through the 10,000 godly flame. It would not be a problem to defend against the cold nether fire poison. Boom! The annihilation flame hand pierced through the air, penetrating the icy mist formed by the cold nether fire, and headed straight for the black-robed man from the Wu family. The black-robed man from the Wu family did not expect Tianyang to possess a spiritual fire. Moreover, this spiritual fire could easily destroy his cold nether fire. Damn it! The black-robed man from the Wu family growled. In the next moment, a jade slip appeared in his hand, shining with a silver light. In the next moment, he crushed the jade slip. Boom! A powerful spatial energy swept through the entire area. In the next moment, a spatial door opened, and a foot walked out from it. A powerful and terrifying aura spread out in all directions. A domineering aura descended upon the Hong family. Wu Zun at the peak. The patriarch of the Yin family. Hong Tsang also felt this aura, and his expression changed drastically. However, in the next moment, he sensed something. No, this Wu Zun at the peak's aura is a little immature. It's not something a veteran like the patriarch of the Yin family can have. This is the grand elder of the Wu family. At this moment, the black-robed man from the Wu family roared with a ferocious expression. Lord Patriarch, Please make your move. Boom! The spatial door suddenly emitted a terrifying light, and in the next moment, an old and hunchbacked figure walked out. He looked like he had 1 foot in the grave and was even older than Hong Song. However, his aura was that of Wu Zun at the peak of the 9th level of the Wu family. Is the Hong family finally seeking death? The old man walked out of the spatial door and quietly scanned the surroundings, revealing a hint of loneliness. That's right. Hong Tianlu, who was worthy of being my opponent back then, is no longer here. At this moment, he looked at the old man. The entire area was dead silent. Chapter 1146. He was the supreme elder of the Wu family, Wu Zun, Wu Longxiu. The moment the old man appeared, the entire Hong family fell into a dead silence. I didn't expect the black and white elders to die here. Wu Longxiu glanced at them indifferently. Although the black and white elders had died without a complete corpse, there were still remnants of their auras in the air. With his cultivation level, he could easily tell that. It seems that the Hong clan has not simply declined all these years. Wu Longxiu said indifferently. Although he was facing the crowd, he did not focus on anyone. Hearing that, Hong Song's face was filled with bitterness. It was not simply declining. However, the person who killed the black and white elders was Tianyang. The Hong family was still the same. Hong Song, I remember you. I saw you when you broke through to the spiritual sea realm. Wu Longxiu glanced at Hong Song and said indifferently, however, you're already so old, it seems that you haven't gotten rid of the poison yet. Hearing this, some people revealed a trace of surprise. So the pillar of the Hong family, the aging minor saint alchemist Hong Song, was so old because he was poisoned? That was true. A minor saint alchemist was half a step away from becoming a saint in alchemy. Even if the physical body was destroyed, the primordial spirit would not be destroyed. Hong Song was only 8,000 years old. How could he have become so weak? Sigh. Hong Tianlu was still able to suppress me in the past. It's a pity that he was severely injured in the catastrophe 10,000 years ago. The Hong family has no more powerful cultivators now. Let be destroyed, Wu Longxiu said indifferently. Then, he looked at the black-robed man from the Wu family and said, Wu Kash. The black-robed man, Wu Kashua, trembled and said, I'm here. In the next moment, the cold nether fire burned in his hand, and he directly cut off his left leg and right arm. Wu Longxiu's eyes revealed a demonic look. In the next moment, his left and right arms that had not fallen to the ground. Suddenly, they turned into a ghostly blood mist and were devoured by Wu Longxiu. Wu Longxiu's aura, which was not obvious, suddenly rose. At this moment, he had truly reached the peak of Wu Zun's realm. Half a year ago, I tried to break through by force. In the end, I was only half a step into the peak of Wu Zun's realm. I still need various methods to enter that realm. Now, even this half-completed peak Wu Zun can easily destroy you. Wu Longxiu smiled, and in the next moment he slapped him. The aura of a peak martial honorable surged out like a flood and crashed down on the living room of the Hong family. No, Hong Song's Wu realm. S realm's realm, stage realm, level Wu's realm, Zun's realms, Wu's attack realm, Wu realms. S Wu realm's realm, Zun's Wu's realm. However, Hong Song's aura weakened rapidly after the attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood as his face turned extremely pale. Wu's. Wu, S Wu, S Wu Wu Wu, S Wu. Honorable Grand Supreme Elder. A familiar voice sounded. In the next moment, Tianyang raised his head. Looking at the figure flying toward Wu Longxiu, his lips curled into a smile. Elder Hong Haiyan. Seeing this, Hong Xiaochen was shocked. How could Honorable Grand Supreme Elder? Not only Hong Xiaochen, but even the other elders of the Hong family, including the Hong family head, were in disbelief. Apart from the patriarch, the most senior elder had betrayed them at this crucial moment. How could it be? The Hong family has already declined. Now, we're just struggling at death's door. As a wise man, I naturally know what's good for us. I'll follow my destiny and seek refuge with the Wu family. At this moment, Hong Haiyan turned around and revealed a mocking expression. Moreover, my son has been poisoned and has been bedridden for decades. What can the Hong family do to help him? You only think of the family and curry favor with first young Master Yin. Don't tell me you're not willing to find a cure for my son." Hong Haiyan roared. His face was filled with rage. "Such a family can't even compare to the Wu family that can help my son." Hearing this, the elders of the Hong family fell silent. However, the Hong family had continued. "However, your son's poison is very strange. We don't even know what it is. How can we find it?" Bullsh asterisk T. Hearing this, Hong Haiyan was enraged. "The Wu family told me everything. My son's poison is a type of cold poison. Only a powerful spiritual fire can suppress it, as well as powerful fire attribute medicinal pills. Although the Hong family doesn't have it, they can easily find it. But what about the Hong family? I've never thought about it. You have to know. I'm an elder. All the resources of the Hong family have to serve me." Hong Haiyan roared. Hearing this, everyone's faces revealed a trace of inexplicable expression. "I don't want such a heartless family." At this moment, Wu Kishua, who had lost a leg and an arm, said, "The Wu family is definitely much stronger than the Hong family." "That's true." Hong Haiyan laughed. At this moment, Wu Longxiu said coldly, "All right, let's cut the crap. Now, it's time for the Hong family to be destroyed." Wu Zun's true origin condensed. Instantly, everyone recovered from the shock of Hong Haiyan's betrayal. Looking at Wu Longxiu, who was preparing a terrifying attack, their faces changed. "Quite touching. You're willing to do anything for your son." At this moment, a soft laugh was heard. A young figure walked out. "Who are you?" Wu Longxiu's face darkened. Someone actually dare to speak? "You." Seeing Tianyang, Hong Haiyan's face darkened to the extreme. "You ruined my plan, and you still dare to come out. However, even if you're doing this for your son, so what?" Tianyang laughed lightly. In the next moment, the great void sword embryo appeared in his hand. "If you make me unhappy, you'll still die. How dare you?" Wu Longxiu roared. A peak Wu Zun, was here. This Wu Zun, a stage 7 martial artist, dared to be so presumptuous. "I'm here. Who dares to kill him? Grumble, get lost." Tianyang shook his head and activated the vast expanse 9 changes. His speed was extremely fast. Before Wu Longxiu could make a move, he was already in front of him. He kicked out. Boom! The powerful and terrifying force directly crushed all of Wu Longxiu's defenses and sent him flying. Wah! Wu Zun, who was at the peak, spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. In the next moment, Tianyang waved his hand. Flying celestial sword. The great void sword embryo pierced through space. Chapter 1147. There was almost no resistance at all. In other words, Hong Haiyan did not even have time to resist. But Tianyang's sword pierced through his forehead. His mind was disrupted by the raging power of the Saint Realm Sword Dao, and his brain was crushed. His primordial spirit was destroyed. Although it looked like there was only a bloody hole in between Hong Haiyan's glabella, everyone could sense that his life was rapidly deteriorating. Hong Haiyan's life force was rapidly draining away. His body was like a kite with a broken string, falling down uncontrollably. Boom! His body fell to the ground. As Wu Zun's body was strong enough, this body was not damaged at all. However, Hong Haiyan was dead. How dare you? Seeing this, the Hong family did not say anything. On the other hand, the black-robed man, Wu Kishua, was shocked and angry as he roared. Hong Haiyan had betrayed the Hong family and joined the Wu family. Now, the Wu family's Grand Supreme Elder, Wu Longxiu, who had reached the peak of Wu Zun's realm, was here. It was fine that Tianyang did not retreat, but he was so arrogant that he killed Hong Haiyan in front of Wu Longxiu. He did not care about the Wu family or the peak of Wu Zun at all. Good, good, good. At this moment, Wu Longxiu, who had been kicked away by Tianyang, finally reacted. His old face gradually became distorted, and his bent back was faintly accumulating terrifying power. After saying good 3 times, Wu Longxiu's heaving chest finally calmed down. He looked coldly at Tianyang and growled, I didn't expect that a mere 7th-stage Wuzun would have so many tricks up his sleeves. He could even defeat the peak of Wuzun. If you rely on these tricks, you might be able to fight with the peak of Wuzun in the future. When that time comes, even I can't do anything to you. It's a pity that you've been arrogant at the wrong time and place, Wu Longxiu said darkly. In the next moment, his figure suddenly disappeared. In an instant, he was in front of Tianyang. Now die for me. Peak Wuzun's true essence was released in a frenzy, transforming into a tyrannical true essence dragon that charged towards Tianyang. Mysterious dragon, 9 destruction palms. Wu Longxiu roared. Before he could finish his words, the violent palm force had already arrived. In an instant, Wu Zun's domineering power exploded. Boom! The light flickered and turned into an incomparably huge ball of light, blooming with brilliant light in the sky. This time, even if you have unparalleled talent, you will still die. Wu Longxiu sneered and said proudly. No matter how many tricks Tianyang had up his sleeves, he was only a Wu Zun Stage 7 cultivator. On the other hand, Wu Longxiu was a Wu Zun Stage 9 cultivator. No matter how many strange tricks this Wu Zun had up his sleeves, in front of the peak stage Wu Zun, he was nothing but an ant. Not bad. At this moment, a chuckle sounded from the blazing ball of light. In the next moment, a strange black flame suddenly ignited. In an instant, the ball of light had completely transformed into the carrier of the true destructive flames. Then, the ball of light that had completely transformed into the true destructive flames charged towards Wu Longxiu with even more ferocity than when it had first arrived. How is this possible? Seeing this, Wu Longxiu's pupils constricted. Wu Zun Stage 7 cultivator could actually block the attack of Wu Zun Stage 9 cultivator? Even if he had a half-saint weapon, it was still impossible. However, in the next moment, a terrifying threat suddenly filled Wu Longxiu's heart. The ball of light, ignited by the true flames of destruction, shot towards him at an incomparably terrifying speed. If he was hit by it, even Wu Zun Stage 9 cultivator would be severely injured, even if he was a peak Stage 9 cultivator. Oh no! Dark mysterious formation. Wu Longxiu roared. Wu Zun's true origin suddenly boiled, and lines of formation runes instantly formed under his feet. In the blink of an eye, a large formation was formed. This was Wu Longxiu's great Tao. He had already taken half a step into the Saint Tao, the Tao of formations. Block! Wu Longxiu circulated his true origin and roared with all his might. Boom! The ball of light formed by the true destructive flames bombarded the dark mysterious formation, instantly causing ripples of energy to appear on the dark mysterious formation. The invisible barrier seemed to be trembling nonstop. The attack of Wu Zun Stage 7 had almost destroyed Wu Zun Stage 9 cultivator's formation. However, seeing this, Wu Longxiu heaved a sigh of relief. The attack that I unleashed with my strength should be your strongest attack. What a pity. No matter how strong it is, it's still my attack. How can it threaten me? A faint smile appeared on Wu Longxiu's aged face. It's a pity that a prodigy of a generation is going to fall here. Whoosh! Boom! However, in the next moment, 2 rays of light flashed out from behind him. Each ray of light carried an extremely sharp and fatal aura. It was as if they could tear apart everything in the world, including mountains, rivers, and the moon. However, the moment they appeared, they shattered the dark, mysterious formation that had been depleted by the ball of light formed by the true destructive flames. What? Sensing this terrifying threat, Wu Longxiu's expression changed drastically. He did not even turn his head as he charged madly behind him. Black tortoise roar. A deafening roar resounded through the clouds. It was as if a huge black tortoise had appeared around Wu Longxiu. As for his quintessential essence, it was as if Wu Longxiu's true origin turned into a giant dragon and charged towards the 2 rays of light. I didn't expect you to have so many trump cards. You can even break my dark mysterious formation. Wu Longxiu laughed coldly. However, no matter how many trump cards you have, they're useless in front of absolute strength. Die! Wu Longqiu roared. The giant dragon roared and the black tortoise roared. They collided violently with the two rays of light. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Cracks appeared in the surrounding space, and the Hong family's guest hall beneath their feet had long been reduced to ashes. However, other than Wu Kashaw, who had lost his limbs, everyone present still had a certain level of strength and could barely survive. Hong Tsang acted in time to save Hong Xiaochun, who was almost killed by the aftershock. Young hero Tianyang can actually fight with Wu Zun at his peak. Hong Tsang looked at the figure in the sky in disbelief. He was extremely shocked. How old was he? Not to mention that he had reached Wu Zun's terrifying cultivation level. His actual combat strength was so much stronger than his cultivation level. This went against Hong Tsang's knowledge. How could there be such a genius in this world? Trump card? A strange voice suddenly sounded in the sky. What are you talking about? In the next moment, a sword suddenly appeared in the middle of the battle. It pierced through Wu Zun's left arm at a speed that even Wu Zun at his peak could not react to. Chapter 1148. Wu Longqiu's left arm was pierced through by the sword. The power of the Saint Realm Sword Dao wreaked havoc in the wound. Even if Wu Longqiu desperately urged his vital essence to heal it, it was useless. This power was not simple vital essence, but the power of the Saint Realm. Although Wu Longqiu had reached the peak of Wu Zun and was half a step into the Saint Realm, unfortunately, he was still like an ant in front of the true Saint Realm. He was powerless to resist. If it was a normal pain, with Wu Longqiu's state of mind that had lived for more than 10,000 years, he might not be affected. But this time, it was the Saint Realm Sword Dao that directly pierced through. Even if he sealed his perception, it would be useless. This pain directly attacked his primordial spirit. You. Wu Longqiu's eyes instantly turned blood red. He stared at Tianyang and let out a ferocious roar. How did you? Wu Zun, who had been fighting fiercely with him just now, was the little bastard who had been blocked by him with two well-designed sneak attacks. How did he become so strong now? It seems that the peak of Wu Zun's combat strength is about the same. Tianyang nodded slightly, revealing a faint smile. This was the reason why he had dragged on with Wu Longqiu for so long instead of killing him with sword-piercing 9 desolation. Tianyang's cultivation was only Wu Zun's realm 7th level. The further they went, the greater the gap between them. Tianyang could not estimate the true peak of Wu Zun's combat strength. The great Lord of Heaven, after tens of thousands of years, must have far surpassed the peak of Wu Zun. If he couldn't even defeat the peak of Wu Zun, going to the soul prison like this would be suicide. Tianyang was just worrying about how to find a peak Wu Zun to fight when Wu Longqiu came. As a result, Wu Longqiu was happily treated as a lab rat by Tianyang, and had been abused until now. You're experimenting on me? At this moment, Wu Longqiu's pupils constricted. He finally understood. The first was shock. The second was boundless rage. He, Wu Longqiu, was the grand elder of the Wu family, a first-rate family in the Flowing Sky City. He was Wu Zun at his peak. Now, a mere 7th-level cultivator like Wu Zun dared to experiment on him. It was no less than a slap to Wu Longqiu's face. Die! Wu Longqiu's eyes were bloodshot. With a furious roar, he unleashed the terrifying speed of Wu Zun at his peak and charged toward Tianyang. Around him, the black tortoise and the true dragon circled. They were even glowing rapidly. Divine Dragon Turtle Art. It's the Wu family's half-saint martial technique. At this time, Hong Tsang's pupils shrank. Young hero Tianyang quickly retreat. If the Dragon Turtle Divine Essence technique is unleashed, my strength will increase by countless folds in an instant. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression changed slightly, while Wu Longqiu, who had already closed in, let out a strange and sinister laugh. Ha ha ha! Looks like the Hong family knows me well. But it's too late. Brat, have a taste of Wu Zun's fury at his peak. The half-saint martial technique, Divine Dragon Turtle Divine Essence technique, was unleashed. Like a great river, his true essence circulated rapidly in Wu Longqiu's meridians. In the next instant, the black tortoise and the true dragon circling around him flashed and entered Wu Longxiu's body. Wu Longxiu's body was also covered by a layer of dazzling light. Divine Dragon Fist. He punched out. The true dragon roared, and the black tortoise shrieked. Gold, black, and green intertwined, and with a force far greater than before, it blasted toward Tianyang. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change, but he smiled faintly. Technique of the Nine Heavens Emperor Dragon. At this moment, his Dragon King's constitution was raised to its peak. The most powerful dragon power enhancement technique in the Dragon Emperor's legacy was unleashed. Then, it was Divine Dragon Emperor Fist, the most powerful fist that Tianyang had mastered. Although the Divine Dragon Emperor Fist was still a half-saint martial technique, it was not so important in many cases. As long as there was enough strength, even a yellow-grade martial technique could easily crush a holy martial technique. Moreover, the Divine Dragon Emperor Fist was a martial technique that would become stronger as the dragon power increased. Now that Tianyang had merged with the nine-tempered dragon body, the enhancement was naturally even stronger. The strength of this punch, it was enough to sweep the universe. Boom! The Divine Dragon Fist and the Divine Dragon Emperor Fist collided violently. The surrounding space rippled violently like boiling water. Space was constantly being torn apart, then healed, and then torn apart again. Waves of energy rippled out like a tsunami and surged in all directions. Seeing this, Hong Tsang's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly shouted, "Activate the clan protection formation." What? No one is attacking. I understand. Hearing this, the head of the Hong family was stunned, but he quickly reacted. No one attacked the Hong family, because in this battle, the Hong family was just an insignificant spectator. However, the terrifying shockwaves from this battle could cause a great disaster to the Hong family, who was the battlefield. Instantly, lines of formation runes shone in the Hong family, and a sturdy shield was formed, covering the sky above the Hong family. Seeing this, Hong Tsang heaved a sigh of relief. However, looking at the center of the collision between the Divine Dragon Emperor Fist and the Divine Dragon Fist, the shield was still filled with cracks, and it was on the verge of collapsing. Seeing this, the elders of the Hong family couldn't help but gasp. This was the Hong family's protection formation that had been passed down for thousands of years. Even the head of the Yin family might not be able to break it in a few moves. However, the battle between the two of them had almost shattered all the layers of protection. This kind of power was simply terrifying. How is this possible? How is this possible? How is this possible? In the sky, Wu Longxiu had pushed his Dragon Turtle Divine Essence technique to its limits and unleashed his strongest battle prowess. He glared at Tianyang with a sinister expression. True Yuan kept surging out of his hands, turning into huge dragons that attacked Tianyang. However, he still couldn't hurt Tianyang. Meanwhile, the Dragon Emperor's mystical fist was moving toward Wu Longxiu at a moderate speed. It only moved forward about 10 centimeters per second. However, it gave Wu Longxiu a feeling that this wasn't a fist, but an impenetrable wall that he couldn't stop even if he used his life. Wu Longxiu was like a mad demon, and his true yuan was burning all over his body. After using the Divine Dragon Turtle skill, his aura was strengthened again. The original secret skill of the Divine Dragon Turtle skill had already consumed a lot of his life force. Now, Wu Longxiu was burning his true yuan again. It could be said that this was an injury on top of an injury. Now, even if he won, his cultivation wouldn't improve at all, and he might even regress. What's the point? At this moment, Tianyang suddenly sighed. When Wu Longxiu heard this, he laughed maniacally. You want to escape now? It's too late. I could have let you die easily, but now it seems I still need to use more strength. Tianyang shook his head. At this moment, the Dragon King's body, Wu Zun's 7th tier True Yuan, the Divine Wilderness Heavenly Spirit Art, the True Flames of Destruction, and countless other trump cards were all used at the same time. An unparalleled and terrifying power directly suppressed and swallowed the power that Wu Longxiu had just gained. Forget it. I've seen Wu Zun's crazy fighting strength at his peak. Tianyang muttered, and the terrifying force of his fist completely swallowed Wu Longxiu. He couldn't resist at all. Wu Longxiu's pupils contracted, and he stared at Tianyang. His mouth opened as if he wanted to say something. However, he couldn't say anything. In the end, he was still just Tianyang's test subject. Boom! With a loud sound, Wu Zun, Wu Longxiu, who was at his peak, turned into a cloud of blood and died. As for the young man with a well-proportioned body. Chapter 1149. He was like a proud and aloof emperor, standing proudly in the sky and looking down on the world. Even Wu Zun at his peak was nothing in front of Tianyang. He was like an ant that could be easily killed with his full strength. Such power! Hong Song and the rest were completely stunned. Even young Master Yin, who had not stopped talking since the beginning, kept his mouth shut. He was afraid that Tianyang would chop his head off with a slash of his sword. Tianyang was someone who could kill Wu Zun at his peak. Even if Wu Zun at his peak was only half-baked, he was still stronger than most of the cultivators in Flowing Sky City. Even the Yin family patriarch, who was at the level of an overlord in Flowing Sky City, could only do what Tianyang did, or even worse. The Yin family patriarch might not be able to kill Wu Longxiu instantly. Such a person was already at the same level as the Yin family patriarch. Where do you get the courage to go against Tianyang as an unpopular young master of the Yin family? If first young master Yin was only frightened, then Wu Kashuo was completely in a state of panic. Plop! Wu Kashuo's remaining leg fell to his knees. He supported himself with one hand on the ground and cried bitterly. Lord Tianyang, actually, I was forced to do this. Wu Longxiu is the Wu family patriarch. As a member of the Wu family, I have to listen to him. Actually, I've been unhappy with him for a long time. Look at the places where I was cut off. Those are the places where my flesh and blood are the weakest. Lord Tianyang, Wu Kashuo cried out. His voice was trembling and his emotions were sincere. One could not help but cry. Then Tianyang killed him with a slash of his sword. If you don't want to die, then don't. What's with the nonsense? Tianyang kept the Great Void sword embryo, and the effects of the Nine Heavens Emperor Dragon incantation faded. Tianyang's inner yuan returned to his body, and his aura was restrained. Other than standing in the air, he looked like an ordinary person. However, no one dared to underestimate Tianyang. The messy Hong residents and the various kinds of fresh blood on the ground were telling them how terrifying this seemingly harmless young man was. Tianyang young. Lord, when Tianyang landed on the ground, Hong Song immediately went up to him and said in a trembling voice. He knew that Tianyang was strong, but he never thought that Tianyang would be this strong. Even Wu Longxiu had been killed by him. Didn't that mean that Tianyang was on par with the head of the Yin clan? Even if it was bad, it definitely wouldn't be that bad. On the side, countless elders were ashamed. Previously, they had been suspicious of Tianyang, believing that Tianyang was a spy sent by the Wu family. Now, everything that happened in less than a day had turned into a series of slaps that slapped their old faces. Do you know why I'm helping your Hong family? Tianyang suddenly said. Hearing this, Hong Song was stunned. Then, a look of understanding appeared on his face. Guards, go. Give all the treasures of the Hong clan to who would want your treasures. Tianyang pursed his lips and showed a look of disdain. The Hong clan was only a second-rate clan in Flowing Sky City that only had Wu Zun at Stage 8. Even at their peak, they only had Wu Zun at Stage 9. Tianyang had killed countless Stage 9 cultivators of Wu Zun at Stage 9. Why would the Hong clan still want their treasures? Hearing this, Hong Song was stunned. At this moment, Tianyang waved his hand. Hong Shaoqian, come here. Hearing this, the head of the Hong clan panicked. He rushed to Tianyang and knelt on one knee. Lord Tianyang, although you saved the lives of the Hong clan, but we can't agree to this. Although I know that the Hong clan can't stop you even if we try our best. If you really want to snatch it, please do so over my dead body. The master of the Hong family had a resolute look on his face. It was as if he would be killed by the evil Tianyang Demon King in the next moment. Meanwhile, the elders of the Hong clan surrounded Hong Xiaochun with a determined look. At the same time, they signaled Hong Xiaochun to leave quickly. Crazy. Tianyang was speechless. With a wave of his hand, he asked the elders of the Hong clan who were crazy to leave. I haven't even found my own wife. Why am I thinking about your little girl who hasn't even grown up yet? Tianyang mumbled. Then he looked at Hong Xiaochun, who was in a daze. Come here. Hong Xiaochun finally reacted. 2 streaks of red appeared on his face. He stood rooted to the ground and didn't know whether to advance or retreat. Come here when I ask you to. Tianyang waved his hand casually. Hong Xiaochun's body flew over uncontrollably and landed on the ground 10 feet away from Tianyang. You guys are wasting resources recklessly. It's good enough that the Hong clan is still alive in your hands, Tianyang said. In the next moment, he stretched out his hand, and an emerald light touched Hong Xiaochun's glabella. Do you know why I asked Hong Xiaochun to touch the clear spirit stone? Hearing that, everyone shook their heads. However, they were relieved when they saw that Tianyang didn't seem to have any ill intentions towards Hong Xiaochun. I don't know where these people got the poison on the clear spirit stone. Even if Wu Zun was at the 8th stage, he would be severely injured if he touched it rashly. However, your Hong clan is really lucky to have a clear rain body. Tianyang chuckled. In the next moment, the emerald light entered Hong Xiaochun's glabella. The clear rain body was very special. Normal methods, such as awakening the bloodline or practicing martial arts, would not be able to open the clear rain body. Before it was opened, the clear rain body was a body constitution that made it extremely difficult to cultivate one's true origin. In history, countless people with the clear rain body either opened it by chance or died with the title of a useless person. However, coincidentally, Shuntian Wuzuan had a cultivation partner who had the clear rain body. Naturally, she knew how to open the clear rain body. Seal break, Tianyang roared, and in the next moment, a dazzling beam of light shot out, turning into an emerald green pillar of light that shot into the clouds. In the next moment, drops of green raindrops spread out with Hong Xiaochun as the center. This is... Hong Tsang was shocked. He reached out his hand to touch the raindrop. The raindrop immediately turned into a rich life force and entered his body. His body, which was extremely weak due to the poison, was recovering rapidly, invulnerable to all poisons and repelling all ghosts. An alchemy body constitution that is not much weaker than an alchemy body. You guys actually didn't notice it at all. Tianyang sighed. In the next moment, Hong Xiaochun's eyes suddenly released a bright light. The surrounding life force was dense to the extreme. Hong San's body was also recovering rapidly. Bang! Suddenly, a loud sound exploded out from Hong Xiaochun's body. Dao Fire Realm 3rd level. Sea of Soul Realm 1st level. Sea of Soul Realm 5th level. Sea of Soul Realm 9th level. Sea of Soul Realm 1st level. Sea of Soul Realm 5th level. Sea of Soul Realm 9th level. Instantly, the aura on Hong Xiaochun's body skyrocketed like a rocket. In a short while, it charged to Sea of Soul Realm 9th level, reaching the peak before stopping. Previously, he was just a Dao Fire Realm trash. Now, he was not much worse than geniuses of the same age. What is this? Hong Tsang could also feel that his body had recovered by 80% under the nourishment of the life force. If the current him encountered Tang Fei's bandit group again, he would definitely be able to blow them up with one punch. Life Body, Clear Rain Body. Chapter 1150. Such a powerful life force naturally attracted the attention of countless people. In fact, when Wu Longxiu and Tianyang were fighting, the entire Flowing Sky City was alarmed. One must know that the strongest people in Flowing Sky City were only the city lord and the Yin family head, the 2-peak Wu Zun. Now, not only had a 3rd peak Wu Zun appeared, but this peak Wu Zun had been killed. The Dragon God Conclave is about to begin. Did someone come from Flowing Sky City? In the City Lord's residence in Flowing Sky City, a tall man who was half human and half dragon sat in front of a table with a bitter smile on his face. The Dragon God Conclave was a grand event for countless dragon clan and human body cultivators. To body cultivators, its significance was no less than the myriad pill ceremony. However, the Dragon God Conclave was extremely small. Only those who were recognized by the Dragon Clan could enter the Dragon God Conclave. It was far less famous than the myriad pill ceremony. However, the person who was killed was from the Wu family, the guy who barely reached the peak Wu Zun. Forget it, as the city lord, I still have to take care of it. The tall half-human, half-dragon man sighed. In the next moment, then, he disappeared from the room. The Yin family. Compared to the slightly relaxed city lord of Flowing Sky City, the atmosphere in the Yin family was much more solemn. The peak Wu Zun of the Wu family, Wu Longxiu, has been killed. In the hall, around the long table, there were dozens of people sitting close to each other. A man sitting at the head of the table spoke with a solemn expression. To be able to kill a half-baked peak Wu Zun, it must be a true peak Wu Zun. Another peak ninth heaven realm Wu Zun has appeared in Flowing Sky City. Hearing this, everyone's expression turned ugly. Flowing Sky City had always been under the control of the Yin family. Although the city lord of Flowing Sky City was the city lord in name, he was actually just a symbolic representative sent by the Dragon Clan. Usually, he did not manage much. If not, the Yin family would not be able to reach a position where even a second-rate family like the Hong family would tremble in fear and try to curry favor with them. The third peak Wu Zun, to the Yin family. It is unknown whether it is an opportunity or a threat. Therefore, I have to go and take a look, the man at the head of the table said. Hearing this, everyone nodded. How could they allow others to sleep beside them? The city lord of Flowing Sky City was now sleeping city lord of the Yin family. The Yin family now did not want to follow the city lord of the city lord of the Flowing Sky City Lord. Moreover, Yin Shilong is also at the Hong clan. That direction seems to be the Hong clan. I'll be back soon. In the next moment, his figure flashed and left the Yin family head. Almost at the same time, the city lord of Flowing Sky City and the clan head of the Yin clan, two famous peak martial highnesses in Flowing Sky City, were here for the same thing, for a single person. He rushed towards the Hong family. Hong family. Hong Tsong was dumbfounded as he listened to the two unfamiliar terms. Although he did not understand what they meant, he could still feel the terrifying life force in them. This terrifying power was definitely not an ordinary body constitution. In short, it is a very powerful body constitution. However, it is not powerful in martial arts, but in alchemy. It is very talented. Tianyang did not bother to explain to Hong Tsong what the body of clear rain was and why it was so talented in alchemy. He casually explained and turned to look at Hong Xiaochen. Hong Xiaochen had slowly retracted his aura. Other than the sudden surge of Heaven Ascension Stage 9 aura that could not be suppressed, everything else was the same as before. However, around Hong Xiaochen, the area within a 500-meter radius was already occupied by wild weeds. These weeds could not be cut down without using force because they were injected with the life force of the body of clear rain. Wah! Hong Xiaochen slowly opened his eyes. He had just stood up when he almost crushed the ground with his foot. Hong Xiaochen was so shocked that he jumped up and almost fell on the roof. When had Hong Tsong ever seen such a situation? Looking at Hong Xiaochen, who was going up and tearing down the house, he was completely confused. What's going on? On the other hand, Tianyang calmly looked at this scene and said, It's normal. Hong Xiaochen was only at the second level of the Dao Fire Realm. There is a huge gap between him and the peak of the 9th level of the Heaven Ascension stage. Now that he's suddenly obtained such powerful strength, it would be strange if he could control it in a short time. It was like a person who is used to using a wooden stick suddenly being given a 10,000-pound stick. Even if he had the strength to pick it up, it would be strange if he could use it well. Then Hong Tsong hesitated. The Hong family and Tianyang were not related, and Tianyang did not seem to be a good person. There did not seem to be any benefits in activating Hong Xiaochen's body of clear rain. The most important thing in controlling power is the fine control of power. Coincidentally, Alchemy is a way to find control one's true essence, and the body of clear rain is an extremely strong physique in alchemy. Tianyang said with a smile. Hearing this, Hong Tsang, who had lived for 8,000 years, instantly understood. With a loud shout, he called Hong Xiaochun, who was jumping up and down over. Come here. Hong Xiaochun had just gotten used to the powerful destructive power of every step he took, so it was not good for him to use force. He tiptoed over. Patriarch, Lord Tianyang. What, Lord Tianyang? Kneel down to Lord Tianyang. Call him master. Hong Tsang shouted. Hearing this, Hong Xiaochun was stunned. Looking at Tianyang's handsome face, his heart palpitated. Thinking of the source of this powerful strength, he immediately knelt on one knee. Master, Hong Xiaochun's clear voice sounded. Hearing this, Tianyang turned his body and did not accept this gift. It's not that simple for me to take in a disciple. Even if you have a strong physique, it's just a bonus. Tianyang said faintly. Then he reached out and threw it. An alchemy cultivation method that he forgot to find from some ruins was thrown out. These days, you can cultivate alchemy. Hong Tsang, you can also teach her a few moves. With the power of the body of clear rain, it won't be long before a 7th-grade alchemist appears in your Hong family. Tianyang said. Hearing this, Hong Tsang was stunned. This meant Tianyang did not intend to take Hong Xiaochun away. Then what do you think, Lord Tianyang? Looking for someone, Tianyang said faintly. Before Tianyang could say Ling Yuhan's information, in midair, there were 2 extremely fast sounds of breaking through the air. 2 auras that were about the same strength, but completely different, exploded in the sky. On the left, tall and mighty, at least 2.5 meters tall, dragon scales could be faintly seen on his temples. On the right, slightly older, but the aura on his body was not weak at all. When Hong Tsang raised his head, he was so shocked that he could not speak. City Lord, and Yin family patriarch. In the next moment, young Master Yin, who had lost an arm, suddenly raised his head. Chapter 1151. Father. First young Master Yin let out a heart-wrenching roar. His voice was so tragic that it brought tears to one's eyes. It was as if he had been wronged endlessly. Hearing his son's voice, the head of the Yin family was startled and turned to look. Instantly, his body trembled and his pupils contracted. He was so angry that his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The aura of a Peak Wuzun was mixed with a terrifying killing intent. It exploded from the body of the head of the Yin family. Sherlong, the head of the Yin family, roared angrily. He turned into a ray of light and rushed towards first young Master Yin. Then he stretched out his hand and pulled first young Master Yin up. Looking at the wound that had healed when the body of clear rain was activated, his eyes flashed with anger. Although it had healed, the bones would not grow back. First young Master Yin now had an additional layer of flesh that would not bleed on the basis of his original broken arm. This was even more painful than a broken arm. Who is it? Who is it? The head of the Yin family roared angrily. He had already forgotten his purpose of coming here. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He was the head of the Yin family, a Peak Wuzun expert. Normally, he was protected by the head of the Yin family. Even a most insignificant servant in the Yin family was respected outside. However, his son had lost an arm in this place. The head of the Yin family was already more than 6,000 years old, while first young Master Yin was only around 50 years old. For a cultivator, there was not much difference between having a child at 20 years old and having a child at 2,000 years old. However, having a child at such an old age made the head of the Yin family value first young Master Yin very much. However, one of young Master Yin's arms had been cut off. It seemed that unless a huge price was paid, it was almost impossible to reattach it. Bastard. After carefully examining first young Master Yin's wound, the head of the Yin family was so angry that he almost lost control of his emotions. It was not just a broken arm. If it was a simple broken arm, even if it could not be reattached, it could be replaced with some magical equipment. Some magical equipment could even be more useful and powerful than the original limb. However, Tianyang's sword strike wasn't as simple as chopping melons and cutting vegetables. Even if Tianyang's original intention was to chop melons and cut vegetables, that strike of his had automatically carried the energy of the Saint Realm's Sword Dao. How could the first young Master Yin, an ignorant and incompetent good-for-nothing, resist the power of the divine path? Right now, First Master Yan's meridians were tenaciously resisting Tianyang's power of Saint Realm Sword Dao. As for the severed arm, naturally, he had no time to care about it. It was crushed into pieces. Even the Yin clan's patriarch, Wu Zun, was helpless. Me? Do you have any objections? At this moment, Tianyang said plainly. He looked at the Yin clan leader without any change in his expression. No matter how strong the master of the Yin family was, he was only Wu Zun at his peak. However, before this, Tianyang had easily killed Wu Longxiu, who had used the Dragon Turtle Divine technique and whose combat strength wasn't any weaker than Wu Zun's at his peak in Dansai-Naville. Although Tianyang's cultivation level was only at Wu Zun's level 7, his combat strength was comparable to that of a half-saint. Against a Wu Zun at his peak, there was no need to be overly concerned. You. Hearing this, the Yin clan leader's body trembled. He raised his head, his killing intent raging. However, when he saw Tianyang's appearance, the Yin clan leader was stunned. What was going on? Was the Hong family already so weak that they had to use a piece of trash who was still wet behind the ears as their scapegoat? Scram! The Yin clan leader snorted coldly and released the aura of Wu Zun at his peak. At this moment, even if Wu Zun was at level 1, he would suffer internal injuries from this aura. As for those at the Heavenly Ascension realm, they might die instantly. The Yin clan leader was not so angry that he would kill anyone on sight. However, the anger in his heart was naturally difficult to quell. So what if this young man was used as a scapegoat by the Hong family? Since he was used as a scapegoat, then it was better for him to die. However, the Yin clan leader sensed that something was wrong the moment the aura spread out. Within his aura, there was a trace of the true origin pressure of Wu Zun at his peak. This level of pressure was not something that an ordinary person of the younger generation could withstand. In other words, even if Tianyang was strong enough to withstand the impact of the aura, he would not be able to resist the true origin pressure and would still be severely injured. However, the impact of the aura was useless. The true origin pressure was like a clay ox entering the sea, disappearing without a trace in an instant. To achieve this, one had to be at least at level 7 of Wu Zun's realm. However, Wu Zun was at level 7 of the younger generation. In a sage sect, he would be considered an extremely powerful genius, let alone a declining Hong family. Who exactly are you? The Yin clan leader's expression changed. His face gradually darkened as he growled. Give me an answer in 3 seconds. Otherwise, you can wait for your death. The Yin clan leader said angrily. In the next moment, the aura and pressure of Wu Zun at his peak were completely released. Compared to the aura impact and true origin pressure from before, this aura was many times stronger. Even from hundreds of meters away, this aura could still be felt clearly. Some of the Hong family elders even showed a pained expression because of this. Even Hong Tsang was not any better. In just a moment, the weeds and wildflowers that had their vitality skyrocketed because of Hong Xiaoqin's body of clear rain withered. Every word and action of his could change the world. Wu Zun at his peak was so terrifying. However, at this moment, Tianyang stretched out his hand. I said it from the beginning. Why didn't you believe me? Tianyang sighed. The way you speak is also quite ungrateful. Can't you think about it? Can the person in front of you be stronger than you? I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. He slapped out. Everything was extremely simple, but it contained an extremely terrifying power. In the previous battle with Wu Longxiu, Tianyang deliberately suppressed his power in order to figure out the strength of Wu Zun at his peak. In the end, he released his power and killed Wu Longxiu with one move. Now, there was no need to suppress the Yin clan leader. The Yin clan leader obviously did not expect Tianyang to attack instantly. He did not even say a word to ease the tension and directly slapped him. However, although the Yin clan leader was slightly shocked, he did not panic at all. A cold smile appeared on his face. Arrogant and conceited. Stronger than me? When I dominated the spiritual state, you were still sucking on your mother's milk? In the next moment, the aura of Wu Zun at his peak bloomed from the Yin clan leader's body. He punched out at Tianyang. Boom! A loud sound was heard. In the next moment, the entire world seemed to tremble slightly. The Yin clan leader's body and expression seemed to be frozen on the spot. Boom! Another loud sound was heard. The Yin clan leader's body was sent flying like a cannonball. The one next to you. You're not here to watch the show, right? After sending the famous peak Wu Zun of Flowing Sky City flying, Tianyang acted as if nothing had happened and turned to look at the castellan of Flowing Sky City. Hearing this, the half-human, half-dragon castellan of Flowing Sky City was stunned for a moment, then smiled slightly. As expected, I guessed correctly. Chapter 1152. Dragon God Faction. Hearing these words, Tianyang's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the city lord of Flowing Sky City. To be able to mention the Dragon God Faction, the city lord of Flowing Sky City was definitely not someone like Wu Zun, who was stuck in a small city like the Yin family head, who was obsessed with the so-called power struggles between the families. Moreover, the unique appearance of the half-human half-dragon also showed that the city lord of Flowing Sky City was not ordinary. This person must have some kind of relationship with the Dragon tribe. Tianyang had not been here for too long since the Dragon God faction. No matter what, there should be some news now. However, he had asked Hong Song, and there was no news at all. This was not right. As for the little golden girl, forget about this guy. He only cared about people who were useless. Asking her was like asking a blind person. City Lord of Flowing Sky City. Seeing Tianyang's gaze, the City Lord of Flowing Sky City laughed and cupped his hands. He had extraordinary eyesight and could tell that Tianyang's strength was not something he could compete with. Naturally, he put down his pride as the City Lord immediately. Otherwise, he could only be like the Yin family head who was sent flying with a slap. So, it's the City Lord of Flowing Sky City. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. Flowing Sky City was so prosperous because it was under the protection of the Dragon tribe. As the City Lord of Flowing Sky City and a half-human, half-dragon special race, it was impossible that this guy had nothing to do with the Dragon tribe. It seems that this young expert has something to talk to me about. Why don't we go back to the City Lord's mansion and discuss it in detail? Sensing the change in Tianyang's expression, the City Lord of Flowing Sky City was even more certain and smiled. No, Tianyang shook his head and pointed below. There was still 60% of the Hong family mansion left intact. It's right here. Hearing this, the City Lord of Flowing Sky City was slightly taken aback. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and chuckled. All right, it's not bad to stay in the Hong family mansion. Arrange a quiet room. No one is allowed to disturb us. Tianyang turned around and said. Hearing this, Hong Song nodded and immediately shouted at the Hong family head. Why aren't you listening to Tianyang's orders? Everyone from the Hong clan, scram outside. Whether you go to the brothel or go hunting, it's up to you. However, you are definitely not allowed to step into the Hong clan. Hearing this, the Hong family head nodded heavily. He took out the communication token and started giving orders to the Hong family members. Instantly, the entire Hong clan was startled. Many of the disciples of the Hong clan were displeased. However, after borrowing it for less than half a day, everyone was relieved. What's more, the ones he wanted to borrow were two peak-level existences like Wu Zun. If the two lords were to discuss, they would be able to take half a day off, so why not? Is there a need to mobilize so many people? Seeing this, Tianyang's mouth twitched. He was just borrowing the quiet room, not occupying the entire Hong family. In this way, he would become the demon king who wanted to take over the Hong family. It's fine. Hong Song chuckled. My small Hong clan can host two peak-level Wu Zun powerhouses. It's already not bad. Meanwhile, the City Lord of Flowing Sky City looked indifferent as he walked to the nearest undamaged place. As the City Lord, what kind of clan had he not seen before? Naturally, he would not change his expression because of the Hong clan's actions. Then Elder, at this moment, the Hong family head also spoke. What were they staying here for? Let's go too. Hong Tsang said decisively. Looks like Sir Tianyang is also here for the Dragon Divine faction. After scanning Tianyang from head to toe, the city lord of Flowing Sky City could not help but be shocked. He originally thought that Tianyang was an old monster who had cultivated for many years and had already regained his youth. However, after using the talent of the dragon race to check carefully, although the specific information was still shrouded by Tianyang's powerful and terrifying primordial spirit, he could not see through it at all. However, the city lord of Flowing Sky City could roughly see through the information. Life aura below 100 years old, or even below 50 years old. Cultivation aura. Wu Zun realm level 7. His actual combat strength could not be deduced, but it could be easily seen through the previous battle. He could easily kill Wu Zun, who was at his peak. Perhaps he was already half a step into the half-sage realm and could even rival a half-sage. How could such a powerful combat strength appear in the body of such a young man? The city lord of Flowing Sky City was in disbelief. If that was the case, this Tianyang's talent was simply too powerful. One must know that even the dragon race, who was powerful because of their racial talent, might not be as strong as Tianyang when they were at the same age. The growth process of a dragon race was extremely slow, so the city lord of Flowing Sky City had also changed. However, even so, there were still many people in the dragon race who were beaten up by Tianyang. I didn't expect that the human race would actually send such a prodigy to the Dragon Divine faction this time. The city lord of Flowing Sky City sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, Tianyang spoke. Yes, but why do not many people in Flowing Sky City know about the Dragon Divine faction? Even if they know, they are completely unaware that it will be held recently, Tianyang said. Hearing this, the city lord of Flowing Sky City was stunned. Don't you know the real location of the Dragon Divine faction? I don't know, Tianyang said. Hearing this, the city lord of Flowing Sky City revealed a strange expression. Do you really have the token of the Dragon Divine faction? The city lord of Flowing Sky City even suspected that Tianyang knew about the existence of the Dragon Divine faction from somewhere and specially rushed over to try his luck. Those who could possess the Dragon Divine faction token were all existences recognized by the dragon race. How could this guy not know the entrance of the Dragon Divine faction? Yes, Tianyang said indifferently. Then a light flashed in his hand. It came from the little golden girl. The Dragon Divine faction token from 30,000 years ago appeared in Tianyang's hands. At the same time, a terrifying aura of the dragon race also spread out in the surrounding area. This is the city lord of Flowing Sky City's expression changed, revealing a trace of shock. It was not that he had never seen the Dragon Divine faction token before. The aura on it varied in strength. The stronger it was, the higher the status of the guest. However, even the city lord of Flowing Sky City, who had been a city lord for hundreds of years, had seen many geniuses who participated in the Dragon Divine faction. He had never seen a Dragon Divine faction token with such a powerful aura like Tianyang's. Damn it! Just as the city lord of Flowing Sky City was about to take a look, a terrifying aura surged out from the side. The furious Yin family patriarch charged over again. How dare you treat this old man like this? The Yin family patriarch roared, and a terrifying power beam blasted towards where Tianyang was. Noisy, Tianyang spat out 2 words indifferently and waved his hand. The Yin family patriarch's furious attack was directly destroyed by the array formations hidden outside. Even the Yin family patriarch was sent flying by Tianyang's slap across the air. Seeing this, the city lord of Flowing Sky City was shocked. When did he set up the array formation? However, in the next moment, a terrifying beam of light descended from the sky. It directly destroyed the entire house. Apart from the table where Tianyang and the city lord were at, the rest were all turned into ashes. This time, no matter how good Tianyang's temper was, he could not help but have an ugly expression. However, the one who attacked this time was not the Yin family patriarch. Instead, it was an unfamiliar aura. TSK, The city lord of Flowing Sky City is actually talking to a lowly human in this insignificant family. An arrogant young voice sounded. Hearing this, the city lord of Flowing Sky City's expression changed. Chapter 1153. Supreme Red Dragon? The governor of Flowing Sky City exclaimed. In the next moment, Tianyang's figure suddenly flashed. He dashed out. Who's there? Before the young man could continue mocking him, he suddenly realized that a black shadow had appeared in front of him. Then it was followed by a terrifying giant fist. What? The young man's expression changed drastically as he looked at the giant fist in front of him in disbelief. Even he could not compare to the aura released from the fist. However, the young man was Wu Zun at the peak of his cultivation after all. His reaction speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he adjusted his state and threw out a punch. Roar! An inhuman roar came from the young man's mouth. In the next moment, a terrifying flame burned from the young man's arm. It was hot and red like the sun, dazzling and eye-catching. The moment the flame appeared, the young man's arm changed at a terrifying speed. Dragon scales grew on his arm, and his fist turned into a dragon's claw. Go to hell! Flaming dragon hand! The young man roared. His hand pierced through the clouds and the sun as he attacked violently. Boom! The flaming dragon hand and the fist collided. The violent force intertwined and caused the surrounding space to explode. When the governor of Flowing Sky City saw this, his expression changed abruptly. This commotion, it was much bigger than when Tianyang and Wu Longxiu had fought previously. Now, the people of Flowing Sky City could not be at ease. Damn it, where did this guy come from? Why is he so strong? The red flame burned fiercely. The young man's true origin at the peak of Wu Zun was still surging wildly in his body. However, he could not force the person who had suddenly attacked to retreat. On the contrary, the young man himself was losing ground. Although Tianyang had made the first move and gained the upper hand, the young man instantly used his martial arts technique to make up for this advantage. He even turned the disadvantage into an advantage. Even so, the young man was still being beaten up. Explode! Sensing that his aura had decreased, the young man's expression darkened. He roared angrily, and the flames on his body suddenly exploded. Boom! A loud explosion reverberated through the clouds. In an instant, the sky above Flowing Sky City was completely cloudless, and the space around the young man had been completely shattered. The young man himself was also sent flying, and a trace of blood flowed out of his mouth. However, he was finally able to break free from the situation of being suppressed. Oomph! How dare you sneak attack me? You're simply courting death. This time, even if you don't die, you'll be crippled. The young man sneered. The power of this flame explosion was incomparably terrifying. Even he, Wu Zun, who was at the peak of his strength, had been injured. This person was so close that he might not even have any defense. Now, he might have been killed by the explosion. However, when the energy ripples dissipated, the interior of the shattered space was revealed. The young man was completely stunned. Tianyang was still standing in the same spot. His body was completely unscathed. Even his robes were not damaged at all. A thin layer of black flames covered it, perfectly blocking the power of the explosion. How is this possible? The young man was horrified. At this moment, Tianyang's figure flashed. The terrifying speed and agility of the heavenly expanse, 9 changes were perfectly displayed. In an instant, he passed through the aftershocks of the flames and dodged all the fire missiles that the young man shot out. With a speed that ordinary people could not even see, he arrived in front of the young man. Directly, he punched him, aimed at the face. Boom! The young man's face was directly smashed in by this punch. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his body flew down involuntarily. Bam! The young man landed heavily on the ground, creating waves of dust that engulfed more than half of the Hong family. In the distance, Hong Tsong and the rest who had been watching from afar. This time, the Hong family really did not have to go back for a while. When the dissatisfied Hong family disciples saw this, they completely shut their mouths. Fortunately, the old ancestor had asked them to come. Otherwise, if they were affected by this battle, They would not even be able to find a complete corpse if they died. Supreme Red Dragon? Knowing that he had dealt with the young man, Tianyang recalled the flowing sky city lord's exclamation. Supreme Red Dragon. Could it be related to Red Dragon Wuzun? However, after sensing for a while, Tianyang did not sense anything similar to Red Dragon Wuzun at all. Only then did he relax. At this moment, the flowing sky city lord rushed over. What's going on? Looking down at the young man who had been punched into the deep pit, the flowing sky city lord was completely stunned. What the hell? Supreme Red Dragon was not only beaten up, he was also beaten up to this extent? Be asterisk starred. Supreme Red Dragon did not seem to be of a normal race. After being punched into the ground, he did not suffer any serious injuries. His sunken face had also recovered by more than half. Who are you? How dare you treat me like this? Reverend Red Dragon roared and charged forward. The flames on his body burned again. Tianyang coincidentally landed on the ground as well. Seeing this, he did not hold back and gave him a backhand slap. Piak. Supreme Red Dragon was unable to resist and was once again smashed into the pit. Be asterisk starred. I am a Supreme Red Dragon. With a backhand slap, I'll send you back to your hometown. This time, I won't underestimate you anymore. Great Sun Dragon Flames. Great Destruction Dragon Sun Art. A terrifying aura exploded from Supreme Red Dragon's body. In the next moment, Supreme Red Dragon let out a menacing dragon roar and charged forward again. His aura was so ferocious that even Tianyang could not help but be moved. A secret skill of the dragon race? Supreme Red Dragon's strength might not be as strong as his, but Tianyang had to take him seriously because of his dragon race body. Although he had walked his own path and created his own dragon body on the foundation of the nine-tempered dragon body. However, there was still a gap between the Dragon King's body and the true Supreme Red Dragon's body. Furthermore, Supreme Red Dragon had even used a powerful secret skill of the dragon race. Haha! Ever since I stepped into the martial Dao, I have never been defeated when using the Great Destruction Dragon Sun Art. Seeing the change in Tianyang's expression, Supreme Red Dragon's expression became even more arrogant. A great sun formed completely from dragon power, and spirit fire appeared behind his head. Get lost! Boom! Tianyang backhanded him and sent him back into the pit. It's about the same power as Wu Longqiu's Dragon Turtle Divine technique before he died. It's also much stronger than the Yin family head's angry attack. Not bad. Tianyang nodded slightly, as expected of the dragon race. With that, he sent Supreme Red Dragon back into the pit with another slap. Damn it, I am the crown prince of the Red Dragon race. How dare you treat me like this? A backhand slap. What sect of the human race are you from? I'll go to that sect when I get out. A backhand slap. My father is a half-step dragon sage. If you continue like this, a backhand slap. After some time, Tianyang sensed that there was no impact from below. He looked down curiously. He saw a young man grabbing his thigh and looking up. Chapter 1154. Big Brother. Supreme Red Dragon hugged Tianyang's thigh and roared at the top of his lungs. Tianyang wasn't the only one who was confused. Even the Flowing Sky City's city lord, who had tried to persuade him more than 10 times, was confused. What was going on? Big Brother, don't hit me. I beg you, Big Brother. This time, Tianyang's backhand slap didn't land. Instead, Supreme Red Dragon roared crazily like he was having a seizure. Anyone who heard it would think that there was domestic violence inside. Get lost. However, Tianyang's reaction was also very decisive. He lifted his leg and kicked Supreme Red Dragon out. He did not care about the other party's identity at all. This kick was so decisive that even the Flowing Sky City Lord was dumbfounded. This was the Peak Wuzun, the son of the Dragon Sage. Although he was only 3,000 years old, he had stepped into the peak of the 9th level of the Wuzun realm. Moreover, he had mastered a saint path. The Peak Wuzun. You kicked him out just like that? Wasn't this a little too daring? However, Heavenly Sun was oblivious to this. To him, the son of a dragon sage was nothing but a fart. He had even dared to steal the legacy treasure of Sage's sect. Why would he be afraid of the son of the dragon sage? Of course, Banten Simun did not realize that Tianyang had taken away most of the power of the myriad pill sacred canon. Otherwise, Tianyang would not have left the Eastern Sky Divine region so easily. The Medicine God sect and Banten Simun would probably join forces to deal with Tianyang. Big Brother. Supreme Red Dragon was extremely excited when he realized that he had not been slapped into the crater that he had fallen into dozens of times. He roared and charged toward Tianyang. He hugged Tianyang's thigh. Big Brother, carry me. Big Brother, carry me. Hearing this, Tianyang was confused again. As for the Flowing Sky City Lord, the half-human, half-dragon Peak Wuzun, he was completely dumbfounded. You're the son of the Crimson Dragon Sage, not some loach on the side of the road. Could the mighty and arrogant Supreme Red Dragon have some backbone? As for Hong Tsang and the higher-ups of the Hong clan who'd witnessed all of this from afar, at this moment, their worldview was shaking, and they didn't dare believe the scene before them at all. Scram! Tianyang lashed out with his foot. However, the revered Scarlet Dragon was indeed the revered Scarlet Dragon. Although his combat strength was far from being a match for Tianyang, even Tianyang wouldn't be able to get rid of him if he hugged his thigh. Big Brother. In the end, the helpless Tianyang had no choice but to continue the conversation with the Supreme Red Dragon, the son of the Dragon Sage, who seemed to have been kicked in the head by a donkey. During this time, Tianyang also learned of the Supreme Scarlet Dragon's original name. The Supreme Red Dragon's name was Chi Ingtian, and he was one of the most powerful geniuses of the Dragon Clan in the spiritual state. At only 3,100 years old, he had successfully grasped the Saint Tao and reached the peak of Wuzun realm. The Dragon Clan had extremely long lifespans and great talents, so their growth speed was extremely slow. According to the normal ratio, 20 years for a Dragon Clan was equivalent to 1 year for a human. In other words, Chi Ingtian was only a little more than 100 years old. With such great talents, even the peerless geniuses of the saint factions of the human clan might not be able to fight with Chi Ingtian. Chi Ingtian not only had great cultivation strength and terrifying spiritual fire, but he also had a powerful physical body that could almost destroy all humans of the same realm. Big Brother, since I'm already so powerful, please take me with you. The Supreme Red Dragon, Chi Ingtian, yelled. If Chi Ingtian was a girl, Tianyang might not have agreed. However, this guy was like a sticky candy that he couldn't get rid of. Tianyang listened. All the more he wouldn't agree. Get lost. I don't have anything to take you with me. Lord of Flowing Sky City, do you have any information about this Dragon God conference? Tianyang asked. Hearing this, the Lord of Flowing Sky City's mouth twitched. Sir Tianyang, although there's indeed a lot of information, the person next to you is the main character of this Dragon God conference. Asking me in front of him feels like showing off in front of an expert. The Lord of Flowing Sky City smiled bitterly. He had lived for tens of thousands of years, which was equivalent to thousands of years in human age. He was not much older than the Yin family master and Wu Longxiu. However, his actual combat strength was weaker than Chi Ingtian. Therefore, even though the Lord of Flowing Sky City had a high status, he was still inferior to Chi Ingtian. You know about this? Hearing this, Tianyang was a little surprised. This Chi Ingtian looked like a standard playboy or a domineering genius. He didn't expect him to know more than the Lord of Flowing Sky City. Of course, hearing this, Chi Ingtian became extremely proud. No matter what, my father is the Dragon Sage. I am the son of the Dragon Sage. How can I not know? The Dragon God Conference this time is led by the Red Dragon tribe. As the Supreme Red Dragon, I naturally know about it. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly and waved his hand. Then tell me. His casual attitude made the Lord of Flowing Sky City sweat again. This was the son of the Dragon Sage, not a beggar by the roadside. He might not be able to do anything to you if he didn't update, but what could he do to me? However, Qing Tian did not seem to care about this at all. He smiled and explained, I can't explain it clearly here. Since the City Lord of Flowing Sky City has already checked your Dragon God token, you may leave now. In the next moment, Chi Ingtian rose into the air and flew quickly in a certain direction. Seeing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. The Lord of Flowing Sky City smiled. I won't go. I still have things to do in Flowing Sky City. Tianyang nodded slightly. Then he looked at Chi Ingtian, who had become a small black in the distance, and smiled. How could he not see that Chi Ingtian was trying to intimidate him? However, how could Tianyang let him do as he wished? Especially after cultivating the heavenly expanse 9 transformations. Whoosh! In an instant, Tianyang stepped out at a terrifying speed. In the next moment, his figure disappeared as if he had teleported. With one step, it was as if he had shrunk the ground into an inch, advancing countless times. Qi Tian's speed wasn't slow. Unfortunately, he had encountered Tianyang, who had cultivated the heavenly expanse 9 transformations and comprehended the Tao of expanse. In just a few breaths, Tianyang caught up with Qi Ingtian, who was sprinting with all his might. What the hell? We turned around and saw Tianyang appear like a ghost. Qi Ingtian was scared out of his wits. When did this guy get here? However, at this time he had reached the place. Qi Ingtian had no choice but to stop. Big brother, this is the entrance to the Dragon God Assembly, Qi Ingtian said. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. The surroundings were barren mountains and ridges. In other words, this Dragon God Assembly was really held in a small world. As long as you show the Dragon God token and circulate your true yuan, it will automatically open a door to the true Dragon Sacred World. On the other side is the Dragon God Assembly, Qi Ingtian said. However, there was one more thing he didn't say. In fact, the phenomenon when it opened was also different. Tianyang nodded slightly. In the next moment, he took out the Dragon God token that the little golden girl had given him. He circulated the divine desolate heaven spirit art and poured his true yuan into it. In the next moment, the surrounding space began to fluctuate crazily like waves of water. The barren mountains and ridges on the side gradually changed appearance. The heaven and earth spirit Qi came out of nowhere and instantly became countless times denser. When this opens, white is the weakest. A purple gold light pierced through the sky like lightning. In the next moment, the space door opened. Purple gold is the strongest. F***CK. Chapter 1155. Purple Gold Dragon Light. Qi Ingtian was dumbfounded when he saw the purple gold light erupting from Tianyang's body. It was as dazzling as the sun. The purple gold dragon light was the noblest among all the Dragon God badges. Only the Dragon God badges could activate it. Throughout the history of the Dragon God Conference, there were very few people who could obtain a Dragon God badge of this level. All of them were powerful geniuses who had the potential to enter the Supreme Saint Realm. Tianyang wasn't a Saint Realm expert and didn't have the potential to enter the Supreme Saint Realm. How did he obtain this Dragon God badge? Looks like it can still be used. However, Tianyang didn't care about the purple gold dragon light. Instead, he chuckled and took back the Dragon God badge. Then, he took a step forward and stepped into the spatial gate. Qi Ingtian followed Tianyang into the true dragon sacred world with a strange expression on his face. The roars of dragons and tigers filled the sky. The majestic spiritual Qi seemed to have condensed into liquid as it surged in the surroundings. Tianyang's face revealed a trace of surprise as he looked at his surroundings. This was the headquarters of the dragon tribe in the spiritual state. Or rather, it was the headquarters of the dragon tribe in the eastern part of the Shantian Great World. The Saint Tao aura in the air is a bit strong, Tianyang said in surprise. The true dragon sacred world must be huge since it could house countless dragon tribe members. However, the Saint Tao aura in the air was still very strong. Although it wasn't as strong as the Heaven's Expanse Temple, it wasn't far off. Of course, hearing this, Qi Ingtian revealed a trace of pride. Our true dragon sacred world was built by 12 great saints of the dragon tribe in the primordial era. After that, another holy emperor appeared in the dragon clan, strengthening the true dragon sacred world once again. The Saint Realm experts of the dragon tribe never stopped protecting the true dragon sacred world. After a long time, the true dragon sacred world became what it is today. Chi Ingtian said proudly, "It can be said that even some saint sects are far inferior to our true dragon sacred world in terms of cultivation environment." Tianyang nodded slightly. He had been to the Banten Simun sect's base. It was the secret place where the myriad pill cannon was stored. The cultivation environment there wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad. However, compared to the true dragon sacred world, it was still much weaker. It only had one saint path. The true dragon sacred world was built by countless saint realm experts and even saint emperors. The saint realm experts and saint emperors all cultivated different paths. As a result, the Saint Tao in the true dragon sacred world was extremely complicated and varied. No matter what kind of cultivator one was, they could all improve by leaps and bounds in this place. Tianyang smiled, then looked into the distance. "What's next?" "Next, I'll go to the elder's office and report. It's just a formality. With Big Brother strength, you can definitely scare those old fogies to the point that their dragon horns will fall off," Chi Ingtian said. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly and let Chi Ingtian lead the way. They flew into the depths of the true dragon sacred world. The center of the true dragon sacred world. Crimson Dragon City. The true dragon sacred world didn't only have the Crimson Dragon clan. There were also sea dragons, earth dragons, sky dragons, and flood dragons. Since Chi Ingtian was the son of the Crimson Dragon Saint, he naturally came to Crimson Dragon City. "Old Man 8, come out and register the human prodigies for me." Chi Ingtian stomped his feet in front of a majestic hall. He raised his head and roared. Instantly, the entire hall was in chaos, and a white-browed old man in a crimson robe rushed out. "Chi Ingtian, what are you doing here?" The white-browed elder thought an enemy had invaded, but he saw Chi Ingtian the moment he stepped out. His eyebrows twitched and veins popped out on his forehead. He was trying his best to suppress his desire. "Register my big brother." Chi Ingtian laughed and pushed Tianyang out. "He has the purple gold dragon god token." Purple gold dragon god token. Hearing these words, the white-browed old man's face changed slightly, revealing a trace of disbelief. Purple gold dragon god token? There were less than 10 people who had the purple gold dragon god token this time, and they were all geniuses or saints of the mysterious sky great world. Chi Ingtian had brought such an existence here? Purple gold dragon god token? Chi Ingtian, did you sleep too much and think a human ant is a peerless genius? At this moment, an untimely voice sounded. A young man in a red robe, but he was much younger than the white-browed elder. He had 2 dragon horns on his head. Behind him were countless members of the dragon clan. Since Lord Yunxiong said it, it must be true. This human must be an ant. "Human, do you know what time it is now? It's fine if you lie to the crown prince, but now that the dragon god assembly is being held, you dare to lie to him? Get out of the true dragon sacred world." Countless members of the dragon clan cursed. Chi Ingtian was the son of the Crimson Dragon Saint and the crown prince of Crimson Dragon City. However, Heavenly Sun was just a human, so they naturally let go of their courage and did their best to mock him. The red-robed young man sneered and looked at Chi Ingtian. This time, before he could say anything, the people Chi Ingtian had brought were mocked. Let's see how he will deal with this. After all, the purple gold dragon god token was no ordinary item. No matter what the result was, Chi Ingtian would inevitably suffer a loss. Oh, hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows, but before Tianyang could say anything, Chi Ingtian snorted coldly and charged out in a flash. In an instant, a scarlet dragon light bloomed. Boom, 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 bang, bang. In the next second, a series of loud explosions rang out. In the next moment, numerous figures were sent flying in the same direction. Then, Chi Ingtian flashed and walked back. He blew on his hand as if there were some injuries on it. However, seeing this, not only the red-robed young man, But even the old man with white eyebrows had an ugly expression. They had never imagined that Chi Ingtian would actually make a move on them. If he attacked, these dragons, who were only in the second or third level of Wuzun's realm, would probably be injured for more than 10 days. Chi Ingtian, the red-robed young man roared. What are you doing? I'm dealing with a group of idiots who dared to curse my big brother. Do you want to be beaten up too? Chi Ingtian sneered. Hearing this, the red-robed young man's face darkened. His strength was not as strong as Chi Ingtian. If he really attacked, he would only be beaten up. His outcome would not be much better than that group of lackeys. However, Chi Ingtian turned his gaze to Tianyang and shouted sternly. Eighth Elder, it's this human who deceived the crown prince. What? Hearing this, the old man with white eyebrows' face darkened. At this moment, Chi Ingtian was not afraid at all. Big brother, show them your purple gold dragon god token. Tianyang nodded indifferently. With a wave of his hand, the dragon god token that the little golden girl had given him appeared in his hand. In the next moment, the space that came into contact with the true dragon sacred world bloomed with an incomparably pure purple gold dragon light. Seeing this, the old man with white eyebrows, who was about to attack, was stunned. Chapter 1156. The corners of Chi Ingtian's mouth couldn't help but curl up when he saw the two old men's stunned expressions. If I'm so awesome, my big brother must be even more awesome than me. You bunch of blind fools, why aren't you kneeling down and licking my boots? This was Chi Ingtian's inner circuit. It was simple and crude, without any twists and turns. If you can't beat me, call me big brother. If you can beat me, brag. If you can't beat me, retreat. This was the logic of the Scarlet Dragon Crown Prince. However, the Scarlet Dragon Crown Prince's martial talent was considered extremely powerful in the Dragon Clan. Most people only cared about Chi Ingtian's martial cultivation and didn't realize it. Chi Ingtian had a hole in his head. It's actually the purple gold dragon god token. The red-robed young man was dumbfounded. His mouth was wide open, and his face was full of disbelief. The purple gold dragon god token represented the most revered VIP in the Dragon God Consortium. How could such an existence be a human youth who was following Chi Ingtian around? However, the old man with white eyebrows quickly adjusted his expression and showed a trace of respect on his face as he said, I really didn't know your identity. Please forgive me for offending you earlier. Old eighth, aren't you as stubborn as a donkey? Why are you so scared after seeing the purple gold dragon god token? I'm still waiting to have a passionate debate with you. Chi Ingtian was unhappy when he saw this. He had been holding back for a long time, and now he was going to let it go just because the eighth elder had admitted defeat? Chi Yunxiong, say something. Are you mute? Chi Ingtian said. However, Chi Yunxiong's expression changed slightly, but he didn't say anything. Seeing the purple gold dragon god token was like seeing a half-saint of the Dragon Clan. Even the eighth elder had only touched the threshold of the half-saint realm. He might not be able to beat Chi Ingtian. Otherwise, Chi Ingtian wouldn't have dared to call the eighth elder old eighth. As for Chi Yunxiong, he was even worse. The eighth elder might not be able to beat Chi Ingtian, but he couldn't. Now that the purple gold dragon god token had appeared, what was he doing here? Goodbye. Chi Yunxiong cupped his fists and flew away. He didn't even care about his subordinates who had been beaten to a pulp by Chi Ingtian. Chi Ingtian still wanted to speak, but Tianyang pressed his shoulder. Enough, you don't have to say anymore, said Tianyang. He could see that Chi Ingtian was the kind of person who didn't care about his life. Once he caught an opportunity, he would not let it go. He would not give up until he slapped someone in the face. In the end, he was a devil incarnate. If he was an enemy, it would be difficult to deal with such a devil incarnate. However, he was on their side. If he had anything to do, he could just send him out to do it. Once there were too many lice, it would not itch. Would he lose his position as the Scarlet Dragon Crown Prince? Tisk, being interrupted by Tianyang. Chi Ingtian muttered in dissatisfaction, but he still closed his mouth. He had always believed that strength was the most important. The elder had beaten him because he had lived a few thousand years more than him. However, Tianyang had used his rank 7 martial honorable realm cultivation to crush him. Tianyang was much younger than him, and he had crushed him with one hand. He was simply the perfect young genius in Qi Yingtian's heart. In Qi Yingtian's heart, Tianyang's position was higher than countless elders of the Scarlet Dragon clan. Old Eighth, why aren't you registering? I still have to take Big Brother to the Sea Dragon Sky Dragon City for a stroll. Hearing this, the 8th elder felt a headache. This little devil had finally come back, and now he was going to cause trouble in other dragon clans? However, there was nothing the 8th elder could say. This fellow wouldn't listen anyway, so he could only sulk and complete the registration process. Then, he respectfully returned the purple gold dragon god token to Tianyang. Let's go. Big Brother will take you around the true dragon sacred world. Seeing Tianyang take the purple gold dragon god token, Qi Yingtian nodded in satisfaction and laughed proudly. Behind them, the 8th elder's expression changed slightly. Then, he took out his communication token. The purple gold dragon god token appeared on a strange young man. This made one have no choice but to overthink. Is this Lord Dragon's saint? Tianyang and Qi Yingtian had left, so they didn't know what the 8th elder did after they left. At this moment, Tianyang was excitedly observing the true dragon sacred world. The true dragon sacred world was a small world created by a saint, and it was much less complete than a natural small world and a big world. However, it had been passed down, repaired, and strengthened by generations of the spiritual state's dragon clan. The rules of saintly Tao and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the true dragon sacred world were no different from those in a natural small world. In fact, they were even more stable and powerful than ordinary small worlds. My Crimson Dragon clan's Crimson Dragon City is in the east of the true dragon sacred world. Sea Dragon City and Sky Dragon City are in the south of the true dragon sacred world. Big Brother, I've helped you so much. Why don't you do me a small favor? Qi Yingtian said pitifully as he led the way. Hearing this, Tianyang couldn't help but laugh. So in the end, this guy still had a favor to ask of him. That's why he helped him slap his face. However, Tianyang wasn't against it. In fact, he liked Qi Yingtian's straightforward and natural personality. What is it? Although Tianyang had already half agreed, he still needed to understand the situation first. It's just a small matter for you, Big Brother. Qi Yingtian sneered. It's all about the competition between the dragon clans in the true dragon sacred world. This time, the Crimson Dragon clan has produced me, a top genius in the entire dragon clan in the Xintian Great World. The Sea Dragon clan and the Heavenly Dragon clan have been suppressed by the Crimson Dragon clan. The geniuses of their clan have also been beaten by me more than once. Therefore, these guys took advantage of the Dragon God faction's influence to launch a counterattack against me. Every genius can bring an external helper or fight on their own. However, I can't fight on my own, Qi Yingtian said. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyebrows. It seemed that the dragon clan of the true dragon sacred world, which was extremely united in the eyes of outsiders, wasn't actually a monolithic block. Thinking about it, most of the 12 dragon saints who created the true dragon sacred world weren't from the same clan. Even though they were all from the dragon clan, there were many differences. After hundreds of millions of years of development, some had left, some had disappeared, and the remaining ones naturally had hundreds of millions of years of grudges. However, these grudges weren't that serious. In other words, I only need to go over and kill everyone. Tianyang chuckled. Hearing this, Qi Yingtian nodded and then took out a small piece of paper from his space bag. He whispered, Big Brother, the other external helpers are nothing to worry about. However, we can't underestimate the genius brought by the Heavenly Dragon clan. This person is at the peak of the Wuzun realm. He comes from the Xianyuan family of the Divine Central Continent. Chapter 1157. Xianyuan Kong. Qi Yingtian said solemnly. Even he had to be serious at the mention of this name. Xianyuan of the Central Plains. The Xintian Great World had 5 divine lands. The eastern heaven divine land, the northern wilderness desert, the southern devil land, and the western Buddha pure land were all on the same level. On the other hand, the divine central continent was on another level. Bantan Simeon had a transcendent status in the eastern heaven divine land, but in the central plains, it was probably just an ordinary saint sect. The four divine lands were one world, but the central plains was an even higher world. Xinyuan Kong came from a Xinyuan family, a top family in the central plains. Although I think Big Brother is more powerful, we can't underestimate Xinyuan Kong, said Qing Tian. Although he's only at the peak of Wu Zun, it's only a matter of whether he wants to become a half-saint or not. This person has already condensed one saint path to the saint realm. At the same time, he is also cultivating another saint path. The reason he hasn't broken through to the half-saint realm is because he wants to condense a second saint path and become a genius with two saint paths. Qi Yingtian said in shock. To them, anyone who could condense one saint path in the Wu Zun realm was already a rare genius. However, Xinyuan Kong wasn't satisfied even after successfully cultivating one saint path. He was suppressing his cultivation to cultivate a second one. Such a terrifying genius was extremely rare even in the entire Xintian Great World. I see. Tianyang nodded slightly. Was he suppressing his cultivation and not breaking through to the half-saint realm just to condense a second saint path? Whether one had a saint path or not had a huge impact on a Wu Zun realm cultivator. Tianyang could defeat Wu Longxiu and the patriarch of a Yin family because they hadn't cultivated a single saint path. The city lord of Flowing Sky City was more troublesome. He'd cultivated for many years and had already succeeded. However, he didn't have enough power to support his saint path, so he hadn't stepped into the half-saint realm. It would take Tianyang some effort to deal with such a peak Wu Zun realm cultivator. As for Qi Yingtian, the only reason Tianyang could instantly kill him was because there was something wrong with his head. If he really wanted to deal with them, he would have to draw his sword at the very least. I hope this Xinyuan Kong won't disappoint me. Tianyang looked into the distance, his eyes sparkling. In the depths of his eyes, an undying flame was burning fiercely. Why hasn't Qi Yingtian arrived yet? We've already agreed to start in my Sky Dragon City, south of the True Dragon Sacred World, Sky Dragon City. This was the headquarters of the Sky Dragon tribe. The center of Sky Dragon City had been sealed off. Only a few young-looking dragons remained in the crowd. He probably want to harm others again. How could such a guy have such talent? It's really puzzling. Another yellow-robed young man sneered and said, this person was not an ordinary dragon. He was the young master of the Earth Dragon clan, one of the top clans in the True Dragon Sacred World. In terms of status, he wasn't much inferior to Qi Yingtian. What a waste of time. At this moment, a disdainful mocking voice sounded from the side. A white-robed young man with an expressionless face said indifferently, you dragon tribe really have nothing better to do. The Dragon God Gathering is about to start, and you still have the time to hold an exchange of pointers? You even brought me here. What a joke. The white-robed young man said. He had a handsome face, a high-nosed bridge, and a pair of eyes that seemed to contain a sea of clouds. His aura was like floating clouds in the sky, ethereal and difficult to find. If it weren't for the fact that the yellow-robed young man and the others could still sense the white-robed young man's aura with their cultivation at the same level. They even thought that this guy had finally broken through to the half-step saint realm. Brother Xinyuan is right. However, it's already started. It'll be a waste of time to end it in a hurry. Who knows what kind of peerless genius Qi Yingtian will bring that can stand shoulder to shoulder with Brother Xinyuan. The yellow-robed young man smiled, but before he finished speaking, he laughed out loud. Yellow Dragon, you must be joking. How can there be a human genius standing shoulder to shoulder with Brother Xinyuan around the True Dragon Sacred Domain? The people of the Heavenly Dragon tribe on the side also sneered. I think that Qi Yingtian might even know that Brother Xinyuan is coming and directly fled. Ha ha! The group of dragons laughed wantonly. Hearing this, the white-robed young man's expression was indifferent, and he didn't say anything. This person was Xianyuan Kong of the Xianyuan family of the Central Divine Continent. Grandsons, I'm coming. Just as everyone was mocking him, a loud laugh came from the sky. Hearing this iconic mockery, the countless dragons in Heavenly Dragon City all raised their heads and looked at the clump of flames burning in the sky. Their faces turned green. Why is that devil incarnate Qi Ingtian here? The Dragon God gathering is about to start. Why isn't this guy cultivating in seclusion in Crimson Dragon City? Why is he here in Heavenly Dragon City? To bring disaster to Sea Dragon City. I'm from Sea Dragon City. Immediately, the entire Heavenly Dragon City was in an uproar. As the instigator, Qi Ingtian himself didn't feel anything. Looking at the scene below, a trace of satisfaction appeared on his face. Not bad. I'm still as popular today. Qi Ingtian. At this moment, an angry roar suddenly came from the center of Heavenly Dragon City. The next moment, a white stream of light suddenly shot up and arrived in front of Qi Ingtian. You what? Bai Pengyu, the loser you defeated, is here again? Qi Ingtian sneered, and a ball of Grand Sun Dragon Flame burned in his hand. You miss your Grandpa Ingtian's fist. You, the strongest genius of the Heavenly Dragon Tribe, Bai Pengyu, who was also at the peak of Wuzun, turned green. He was the young master of the Heavenly Dragon Tribe, and also at the peak of Wuzun, but he didn't have a Saint Dao, but Qi Ingtian did. A Wuzun without a Saint Dao could only be beaten up by a Wuzun with a Saint Dao. A wise dragon doesn't fight when the odds are against him. Bai Pengyu clenched his teeth, ignored Qi Ingtian's mockery, and turned to Tianyang. This is the genius of the human race you brought back? How laughable. Bai Pengyu, come back. A calm voice came from below. Instantly, Bai Pengyu's body shuddered, and he immediately rushed back. It was as if the person who spoke was the young master of the Heavenly Dragon Tribe. I didn't expect this. At this moment, the voice spoke again. Next, a handsome young man with a calm and emotionless face appeared in front of Qi Ingtian and Tianyang. A bastard actually has the ability to enter the true dragon sacred domain. Chapter 1158. How can a bastard come to the true dragon sacred domain? Xianyuan Kong said indifferently. There was no emotion on his handsome face at all. It was as if he was telling the truth. It was as if bastard wasn't a special word. It was just a word used to describe a certain type of person. Tianyang was that type of person in Xianyuan Kong's eyes. However, in the next moment, Qi Ingtian exploded. Trash! What are you talking about? Qi Ingtian roared. The great solar dragon flame covered his body as he charged at Xianyuan Kong. He punched out, gathering the power of thousands of dragons. Is this kid crazy? How dare he attack Xianyuan Kong? Bai Pengyu of the Heavenly Dragon Clan and Huang Long of the Earth Dragon Clan were stunned when they saw this. They knew that Qi Ingtian was fearless, but they didn't expect that. Qi Ingtian actually dared to attack Xianyuan Kong. He's courting death. Bai Pengyu sneered. At this moment, Xianyuan Kong shifted his gaze. A saint path. Not bad. If we fight head-on, I might have a chance of winning. Xianyuan Kong said indifferently as he pointed a finger. The terrifying fist formed by the terrifying dragon power and the great solar dragon flame was directly penetrated by the finger. At the same time, the finger didn't weaken at all after piercing through Qi Ingtian's fist. It continued to charge at Qi Ingtian. Qi Ingtian's pupils shrank. Wasn't Xianyuan Kong also at the peak of Wuzun? How could he be so strong? Damn it! Qi Ingtian's body burned with the great solar dragon flame, and the dragon power turned into a giant shield in front of him. However, it was useless. The might of this finger was still as strong as ever, to the extent that even the giant shield formed from the great solar dragon flames was no stronger than a piece of paper in front of this finger. Seeing that your father is a dragon saint, I'll spare your life, Xianyuan Kong said indifferently. Xianyuan Kong said indifferently. He hadn't even looked at Qi Ingtian from the beginning to the end. Trash of the Xianyuan family. What are you talking about? At this moment, a clear laughter suddenly rang out, and in the next moment, a hand directly stretched out. There was no quintessential essence or essence spirit fluctuation. It was just a hand and a spirit fire. Then he caught the finger beam. You reap what you sow. Xin Yuan Kong was expressionless when he saw that. He knew very well how powerful that finger attack was. Although this was a casual attack, it had been charged up for a long time. Even Wu Zun, who was at his peak, would have been killed instantly. Wu Zun, who was at the pinnacle of the divine path, and who was not, were two completely different beings. Wu Zun, who was at the pinnacle of two saint paths, was still on a completely different level. Although Xin Yuan Kong had not cultivated two saintly paths, he was very close. In addition, he could step into the half-saint realm at any time. As a result, Xin Yuan Kong was said to be invincible under the half-saint realm. What nonsense are you talking about now? Boom! There was an explosion, and in the next moment, the power from Xin Yuan Kong was crushed by Tianyang with his bare hands. Like an exploding skull, countless power fragments flew everywhere, but there was no longer any threat. Tianyang stretched out his hand and even swallowed some of these power fragments. Is this all the Xin Yuan family trash can do? The corners of Tianyang's mouth curved into a smile as he said. Previously, because they were in the middle of the battle, no one heard clearly. But now, everyone, including Xin Yuan Kong, heard it clearly. This guy, what was he talking about? Bai Pingyu of the Heavenly Dragon Clan was in a daze at this moment, and he dug his ears. He seemed to have heard it just now. Someone was mocking the Xin Yuan family. Is he courting death? Huang Long of the Earth Dragon Clan was also trembling. The Xin Yuan family was such a colossus that even mentioning it had to be extremely respectful and pious. This guy, as soon as he opened his mouth, he called the Xin Yuan family trash. And to one of the geniuses of the Xin Yuan family, Xin Yuan Kong. Ew. Even Xin Yuan Kong's expression turned slightly ugly at this moment, and a trace of coldness appeared on his aloof face. It seems that even trash has his own thoughts. However, this kind of thinking is useless. Xin Yuan Kong spoke, and in the next moment, the surrounding clouds seemed to be summoned and madly gathered toward Xin Yuan Kong. In the next moment, the clouds in the entire world seemed to have become the surging cloud power around Xin Yuan Kong, vast and boundless, as if it was endless. This is the saint path that Xin Yuan Kong cultivates, the path of the sea of clouds. Qing Tian's chest rose and fell rapidly. Looking at the clouds gathering around Xin Yuan Kong, as if they were his arms, his face darkened. This path of the sea of clouds, Xin Yuan Kong had already cultivated to the saint realm. In other words, Xin Yuan Kong could completely rely on this saint path to step into the half-saint realm, the saint realm. This degree of mastery was far from what Qi Yingtian, who had only recently grasped it, could compare to. The son of the dragon saint of the Crimson Dragon race has some foresight. Xin Yuan Kong's expression did not change when he heard that. It was as if nothing in the world could affect his emotions as he spoke indifferently. However, I missed out on one. The path of space. In the next moment, the sea of clouds around Xin Yuan Kong suddenly changed. As if it had fallen into a fragmented space, it became fragmented and fragmented. In the next moment, with the chaotic and violent power of space, it exploded toward Tianyang. The sea of clouds turned into endless cloud blades, each of which had the terrifying power to cut through space. It's not bad for a bastard to be able to do this. After making his move, Xin Yuan Kong didn't look at it again. He had already used two great paths to deal with Wu Zun, who had been mentioned by the clan a while ago, who hadn't even reached the 6th level of the Saint Realm. He was absolutely confident that he could kill Tianyang. A half-completed path of space and the path of the sea of clouds of the Saint Realm. At this moment, Tianyang suddenly spoke, and the corners of his mouth curled into a strange smile. In the next moment, the sword in his hand flashed. A terrifying and powerful saint path aura bloomed from his body. A piece of trash, and a piece of trash from the Xin Yuan family can do this. It's not bad indeed. Tianyang smiled lightly, and in the next moment, he slashed out with his sword. The 4 seas and 8 desolations all trembled, and everything was broken. The sword shattered the sky, the sword of 9 desolations. In an instant, the endless cloud blades were crushed by this sword with a domineering and unstoppable force. The sword of 9 desolations itself also passed through the sea of clouds and arrived in front of Xinyuan Kong. The Saint Realm's sword path aura coming from it made everyone present change their expressions in horror, including Xinyuan Kong. Xinyuan Kong's pupils contracted, and in an instant, he made his move, and streams of space power gathered. Xinyuan Poyan. Chapter 1159. Xinyuan Poyan. Xinyuan Kong bellowed. Wu Zun's true origin, which was at the peak of the LV9 realm, exploded. However, in an instant, the surrounding space seemed to distort. The sea of clouds that had already gathered around Xinyuan Kong began to surge like a real ocean. Following that, the sea of clouds began to gather the power of space within it. It turned into an arrow piercing through the clouds. Xinyuan Kong's face was cold. He looked at Tianyang with disdain. This move was created by a great sage of the Xinyuan family. Although it was not complete, he had already entered the holy martial realm. Using Wu Zun's cultivation to deal with Tianyang was a disgrace to the name of the holy martial realm. However, a bastard with the holy bloodline of my family, this is not a bad way to die, Xinyuan Kong said indifferently. Xinyuan Kong said indifferently. A moment later, an unnatural glint flashed across Tianyang's eyes. In the next moment, a ball of fire burned fiercely. That's it, Tianyang smiled. The immortal fire in his eyes was burning. I haven't used my full strength yet. 2 blazing beams of light shot out from Tianyang's eyes, bringing with them a boundless destructive power as they shot towards the arrow. The immortal divine body could make one immortal. It could also control death. The immortal bloodline was the controller of life and death. It's the immortal bloodline. Seeing this, Xinyuan Kong's eyes narrowed. He was about to attack, but it was too late. Boom! An earth-shattering crash resounded throughout the entire heavenly dragon city. An energy storm swept up in the air. If Tianyang and Xinyuan Kong were not at a high altitude, the energy storm would have caused countless casualties in Sky Dragon City. Even if they were from the Dragon Tribe, which was extremely talented, it would still be the same. This level of confrontation was comparable to that of a sage-to-be. Xinyuan Cloud piercing arrow. Xinyuan Kong shouted. He opened his space bag and a golden light flashed in his hand. A longbow appeared in his hand. The longbow was golden and engraved with mysterious and difficult-to-understand ancient characters, bringing with it boundless power. Under the illumination of the sun, it was even more dazzling. The Saint Path aura released from it made people's hearts tremble. This is sacred artifact. This guy is actually using a sacred artifact. At this moment, Qi Ingtian finally couldn't bear it anymore and cursed. Your talent and strength are already higher than Big Brother's, and you still want to use a saint artifact. This old man is actually so despicable. In the eyes of the crowd, Xinyuan Kong was the famous Saint Wu Zun of the Xinyuan family. He was a genius who was about to cultivate 2 saintly paths. Fighting against Tianyang was already beneath him. In the end, he still had to use a saint artifact. That was a saint's weapon, a weapon that could cause terrifying destruction with just a wave of his hand. Arrow, soul-severing. However, Xinyuan Kong didn't care about Qi Ingtian's curses at all. He ignored everyone's puzzled gazes, and a trace of disdain appeared on his cold and handsome face. No matter how strong Tianyang was, he was just a scum with no one to rely on. In front of the genius of the Xinyuan family, he could only be destroyed. Boom! As soon as the arrow was shot, there were bursts of explosions in the air. This arrow seemed to have penetrated the space and headed straight for Tianyang. The Xinyuan family had imprisoned Tian Hao, the head of the Tian family. Naturally, they had studied the immortal bloodline. The immortal bloodline was the bloodline of the immemorial great emperor, the immortal heavenly lord. Naturally, they didn't know anything about it, but they did know some information about the immortal bloodline and its weakness. As long as the primordial spirit was destroyed, no matter how strong the immortal divine fire was, it would never be able to restore it. As long as one move destroyed all signs of life, the immortal bloodline wouldn't be able to save one's life. What Xin Yuan Kong wanted to do was to kill Tianyang with one arrow. If possible, he would annihilate him with one move and completely kill him. A saint artifact? Sensing the fluctuation, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. Then, a cold smile appeared on his face. He didn't even have two saint paths. How could he defeat him with just Wu Zun's cultivation and his saint artifact? Then, I have no choice but to take out my saint artifact. Tianyang sighed. In the next moment, there was a flash of light in his hand. A black sword embryo, shining with terrifying light, appeared in his hand. Great Void Sword Embryo, a saint artifact. The divine wilderness heaven spiritual art was activated rapidly. Wu Zun's true origin of the LV7 realm surged in Tianyang's body. Vast expanse, 9 changes, vault of heaven change. In an instant, Tianyang's figure disappeared from the spot. He was facing the arrow that pierced through the clouds. You also have a saint artifact, but it's useless. Sensing the saint path aura that suddenly appeared on Tianyang's body, Xin Yuan Kong's expression changed slightly. Then, a look of disdain appeared on his face. So what if he had a saint artifact? The absolute difference in strength couldn't be made up for by a saint artifact. In the end, Tianyang was still digging his own grave. Flying immortal sword. Tianyang smiled slightly, and through the great void, sword embryo. The power of the saint realm, sword way, poured into the great void, sword embryo, like a great river. The great void sword embryo also bloomed with dazzling light. It shot toward the piercing Xin Yuan arrow that had appeared in front of him. The sword light flashed. Everything in the surroundings seemed to have stopped. The sword light seemed to be unhindered. It went straight through the piercing Xin Yuan arrow. Moreover, the power that escaped was quickly disintegrating the power of the arrow and detonating it. Boom! There was a terrifying explosion. Even Xin Yuan Kong couldn't see what had just happened. He could only infer that the power of the arrow had exploded. He smiled disdainfully. With a wave of his hand, he put the saint longbow away into his space bag. Bastard, it's not bad that you can die under the Xin Yuan family's saint artifact. In your next life, stay away from the Xin Yuan family. In the next moment, Xin Yuan Kong flicked his sleeves and turned around, heading down. Although the time taken for the arrow to detonate was a little beyond Xin Yuan Kong's expectations, the result was still destined. A bastard from another small world. So what if he had the undying bloodline? In front of him, he was just an ant. Brother Xin Yuan, behind you, at this moment, Bai Pengyu of the Heavenly Dragon Tribe suddenly spoke with a trembling voice. His eyes were filled with fear. Xin Yuan Kong was stunned. His hair stood on end as a terrifying sense of threat filled his heart. 9 void escape, Xin Yuan Kong shouted. Wu Zun's true Yuan, which was at the peak of the 9th level of the Saint Realm, burst forth. He used his movement technique, and half of his body disappeared into space. However, the remaining half was still severely injured by the sword. Xin Yuan Kong spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with rage. This brat dared to launch a sneak attack. In the next moment, a black shadow suddenly covered him. Trash of the Xin Yuan family. Xin Yuan Kong had just raised his head when he saw a bright, smiling face. Have a taste of the undying flame. How about it? Chapter 1160. A punch landed. Xin Yuan Kong's handsome and exquisite face was directly smashed apart by this punch. Boom! Xin Yuan Kong had no chance to resist at all. He was ignited by the immortal fire, and with the terrifying power of the Dragon King's body, he was smashed into the ground. A huge crater instantly appeared in the center of Sky Dragon City. Seeing this, Qi Tian could not help but gasp and tremble all over. Just a few hours ago, he was the one who had been smashed into the crater by Tianyang. Bastard. However, Xin Yuan Kong was clearly much stronger than Qi Tian. Before Tianyang could follow up with a second attack, he roared and charged forward. How powerful was the immortal fire? Even if Xin Yuan Kong was proficient in the Xianyuan family's powerful secret techniques. It was impossible for him to be immune to the immortal fire. Since Tianyang had cultivated the immortal eyes, his control of the immortal bloodline had become stronger and stronger. The immortal fire that he released was not much weaker than the true flames of destruction. "I want you dead. I want you dead." Xianyuan Kong roared, his handsome face completely distorted. With a crazy roar, he exploded with terrifying speed and charged toward Tianyang. Humph! Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change. With a wave of his hand, the great void sword embryo that had transformed into a flying sword instantly returned to his hand. Sky sword technique, sky soaring. A vertical slash fell from the sky like a peerless, divine sword. Sun-shattering bow field. Xianyuan Kong roared, and his otherworldly temperament completely disappeared. The Saint longbow in his hand suddenly bloomed with dazzling light. Following this, a strange domain was formed around Xianyuan Kong. This Saint weapon has its own field. Fields were extrememely rare. When Tianyang had been able to awaken the massacre field, it was the result of countless coincidences. Back then, Reverend Gu Hua had been able to awaken the Sword Wave field, which made Tianyang extremely envious. Of course, as long as one entered the Saint realm, even if they had not awakened the field before, they would automatically use the Saint path as the foundation to create a Saint realm sword field. It was even more powerful than an ordinary sword domain. However, it would appear that the power of this domain is not as strong as I imagined it to be. Tianyang looked around and noticed the energy fluctuations in the surroundings. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Since he wasn't too strong, it meant that, even if it was a domain that did not belong to the Saint Path domain, it could still stand up to it. Those who fell in my Broken Sun Bao domain all died in my Broken Sun Bao domain. Xianyuan Kong's face was contorted as he looked at Tianyang crazily and laughed wildly. "Now you'll be next." Wu Zun is in the 7th stage of the Immortal Realm, and he's able to match Wu Zun at the peak of the Immortal Realm. His talent is unparalleled, and he can use the Immortal Bloodline freely. Those are all geniuses, and I, Xianyuan Kong, will strangle these geniuses in my hands. "Die, brat." Xianyuan Kong roared, and the Broken Sun Bao in his hand released rays of Shengguan. In an instant, arrows formed completely by true origin shot out, piercing through the void and shooting towards Tianyang. It was as if each of them had eyes. No matter how Tianyang used the vast expanse 9 changes, they could easily lock onto Tianyang's head. Interesting. After flashing continuously for hundreds of times, Tianyang's lips curled up slightly. He stretched out his hand, and a terrifying force was released violently with him as the center. Boom! In an instant, the surrounding heaven and earth began to tremble. A bloody energy fluctuation turned into a storm and swept across the entire area. Within it, an endless and terrifying murderous intent spewed out. Domain. Ever since Tianyang reached the Sea of Soul Realm, he had condensed the massacre domain. Domain? Seeing this, Xianyuan Kong's face changed drastically. His handsome features were distorted. "You actually have a domain?" Although every saint had a domain, there were very few people below the saint level who could possess a domain. The chances were 1 in 10,000, 1 in 100,000, or even 1 in 100 million. Tianyang's Saint Realm Sword Dao had been cultivated to a powerful level in the Saint Realm. However, without the support of the Saint Realm True Origin, he still could not condense the Saint Realm Sword domain. In terms of power, Xianyuan Kong was not as good as Tianyang. Luck did not seem to count for much either. Naturally, it was impossible for him to have a domain. If he did, he would not have been beaten so badly by Tianyang. Damn it! So what if you have a domain? Shattering Sun Bao region, kill! Xianyuan Kong roared madly. The Broken Sun Bao in his hand released rays of brilliant light, and arrows with an incomparably sharp aura shot out. In just an instant, hundreds of arrows were shot out, and every arrow was aimed at Tianyang's head. The arrows pierced through the void and ignited the true origin. Countless dazzling arrows charged fiercely at Tianyang. The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled up slightly. The broken sun Bao domain was condensed from a divine weapon. Although it was considered a holy path domain, it was only a part of it. Its power was much weaker than a real holy path domain. As for the massacre domain, it had been successfully condensed from the beginning. As Tianyang's power grew, it continued to grow stronger. Even if he faced a holy path domain of the same level, he might not lose. Moreover, he was only dealing with a semi-finished product. Boom! Hundreds of arrows pierced through Tianyang's massacre domain. In the next moment, the hundreds of arrows that were uniformly and accurately aimed seemed to have transformed into headless flies as they instantly scattered in all directions. There were even some that made a turn in the massacre domain and viciously shot towards Xianyuan Kong. Damn it! Seeing this, Xianyuan Kong roared angrily and drew the longbow in his hand again. Whoosh! An arrow shot out. This arrow split into countless arrows in midair and charged fiercely at the arrows that were charging at him. It instantly exploded and exploded. At this moment, Tianyang used the vast expanse 9 changes, and his speed soared to a terrifying level. He had already arrived quietly. The massacre domain had also enveloped Xianyuan Kong within it. Boom! In Xianyuan Kong's head, there was a loud explosion. Then, countless frenzied, killing intent exploded in Xianyuan Kong's heart. Kill! 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 Kill my junior brother. Take my junior sister away. Kill my elder brother. I, Xianyuan Kong, am a #1 genius of the Xianyuan family. Kill. Kill this bastard with the blood of the Xianyuan family's holy daughter. Kill. Kill everyone here. Xianyuan Kong's eyes were dyed red. Originally, the power of the massacre domain was enough to bewitch those with weak wills and turn them into madmen who only knew how to kill. This time, Tianyang was extremely thoughtful. He had integrated the power of the illusory demon ancient book into the massacre domain. The effect was outstanding. In an instant, Xianyuan Kong was plunged into chaos. The next stop, just as Tianyang was about to slash out with his sword and cut off this trash's head, a loud voice like the chime of a bell could be heard all of a sudden. The power of the holy path was released and instantly woke Xianyuan Kong up. Then, a huge hand passed through the clouds and headed towards Tianyang. Chapter 1161. A majestic aura of the holy path burst out from the giant hand. This time, it was not Xianyuan Kong's holy path that was condensed from the holy path using the holy path of the Sea of Clouds. It was a complete explosion of the holy path and the holy path's true origin. A saint had made his move. Suddenly, a bright light shone in the sky above Sky Dragon City. The space that had been destroyed by the fierce battle between Tianyang and Xianyuan Kong was quickly recovering. He could change the world with just a wave of his hand. This was the power of a saint. This is a saint realm almighty. Looking at the giant beast that was charging towards him, Tianyang raised his eyebrows and smiled. This was the first time Tianyang had seen a saint attack. It wasn't sealed in a saint artifact or talisman beforehand. Instead, it was the saint himself who had made a move. However, this time, the target of the attack was Yi Shiwen. Break! Tianyang roared, and the holy path of the sword exploded. At the same time, the light of the heavenly sword shone on the great void sword embryo. Martial's soul talent, devouring heaven. Body of the Dragon King, 9 heavens emperor dragon technique. The great void sword embryo, the power of a holy weapon. The massacre territory was completely released. Incomparably vast and seemingly endless spiritual chi of heaven and earth entered Tianyang's body like a swallow. At this moment, Heavenly Sun's aura also surged crazily. Wuzun Realm Level 7. Wuzun Realm Level 7 Peak. Wuzun Realm Level 8 Peak. Wuzun Realm Level 8 Peak. Under the threat of death, the Heavenly Sword released in even stronger power than before, raising Tianyang's cultivation level by 1.5 levels. The sword was also stronger. Reincarnation of life and death, sword breaking 9 desolates. Tianyang roared, and the divine wilderness heaven spiritual art was activated. His true origin burned. The holy path of the sword and the Tao of life and death merged into one. Boom! A sword light with an incomparably powerful life and death aura slashed across the sky. At this moment, a cold snort came from the sky. How dare an ant attack a sage? The next moment, the giant hand suddenly emitted rays of light and collided with the sword. In that moment of collision, Tianyang's pupils shrank. He instantly recognized his opponent's level. He was completely different from an ordinary saint who had just entered the saint realm. He was a veteran saint who had attained the Tao many years ago. Tianyang would not have been too afraid if it had been an ordinary person who had just entered the saint plane. If he could not beat them, he could always escape. However, things would be different if a veteran sage were to make a move. Boundless 9 transformations, vault of heaven change. Tianyang shouted, his true essence crazily revolving. But at this moment, a terrifying explosion suddenly rang out. Boom! The sword light that had been infused with Tianyang's 2 great saintly paths was shattered. Even though his saintly path was not much lower than Dragon Saint's, the crushing power was still extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, it shattered Tianyang's defense and sent Tianyang flying. Wu Zun's peak 8th tier cultivation base, brought about by the heaven-devouring secret technique, was instantly shattered. Tianyang spat out a mouthful of blood, his entire body flying backward like a cannonball. Crack, crack. Countless bones were broken by this attack. The undying divine flame suddenly burned. The flames in the undying eye burning fiercely, frantically repairing the injuries caused by this attack. However, even the undying divine flame was suppressed by the saint realm before reaching the saint realm. Now, it could only prevent Tianyang's injuries from worsening. Ha ha ha! Seeing this, Xianyuan Kong, who was behind Tianyang, laughed maniacally. Bastard, just as I expected. You can deal with me, but you can't deal with Lord Dragon Saint. A Saint Realm expert can kill all of you with a wave of his hand. Xianyuan Kong laughed maniacally. In the same fierce battle, Dragon Saint, who had attacked, had only severely injured Tianyang, but had not harmed him at all. This showed how this Saint Realm expert's attitude was. Naturally, Xianyuan Kong was not afraid and began to mock him madly. His previous aloof image instantly collapsed, as if he was a vengeful madman. At this moment, Tianyang turned his head and looked at Xianyuan Kong, a smile suddenly appearing on his face. Xianyuan Kong, as luck would have it, was standing right in the path that he had been sent flying. Get lost! Just as he was about to reach Xianyuan Kong, Tianyang roared and gathered all of his true essence and terrifying physical strength in his fist. Boom! With a single punch, he exploded Xianyuan Kong's chest and sent him flying backwards at an even greater speed. The smile on his face instantly froze and twisted, and a huge bloody hole was left in his chest. Ant, how dare you? At this moment, a roar identical to the one from before rang out. In the next moment, the surrounding heaven and earth trembled rapidly again. The saint had attacked again. Dragon Saint. At this moment, Qi Yingtian finally reacted and showed a trace of anger. I'm still here. Do you think I'm invisible? Big Brother Tianyang is someone I brought back. You directly injured Big Brother Tianyang. Are you looking down on my Red Dragon clan? Qi Yingtian roared angrily. Tianyang had the purple gold Dragon God token and was the highest level participant in the Dragon God Assembly, which was comparable to a half-saint of the Dragon Clan. Not to mention the Dragon Saint. Even the Red Dragon Saint had to treat Tianyang as an equal. As for this Heavenly Dragon Saint, the moment he made his move, he had seriously injured Tianyang and sent him flying. If he had not brought Tianyang to Sky Dragon City to humiliate Huang Long and Bai Pengyu, how could Tianyang have suffered such a heavy blow? Incomparable regret filled Qi Yingtian's chest, so much so that the Dragon Saint dared to face him directly. Qi Yingtian, you have no right to speak here. Xianyuan Kong is a VIP with the Platinum Dragon God token that I personally invited. As the host, We have the obligation to ensure the safety of the Platinum Dragon God token. This reckless human brat dared to attack a member of the Xianyuan family. I'm already giving face to your Red Dragon clan by not killing him. So, Qi Ingtian, shut your mouth. The Dragon Saint said indifferently. Hearing this, Qi Ingtian was furious, but he had nothing to say. After all, although Tianyang had the purple gold dragon god token, Xianyuan Kong had the Xianyuan family on top of the platinum dragon god token, the Xianyuan family on the divine central continent. Even a colossal force like the Dragon Clan of the spiritual state had to take them seriously and even try to curry favor with them. Even if they showed the purple gold dragon god token, it would be useless. But now this guy dared to sneak attack Xianyuan Kong and severely injured him. At this moment, the Dragon Saint spoke again. Looking at Xianyuan Kong, who had a hole in his chest and was spurting blood, his tone was extremely gloomy. There's only one word for this guy, death. The Dragon Saint said furiously. In the next moment, the Saint power gathered again. Wait. At this moment, a voice full of vigor suddenly sounded. In the next moment, the sky above Sky Dragon City was shrouded in a boundless scarlet-red color. Chapter 1162. Who dares to kill the purple gold dragon god token of my Red Dragon clan? A voice sounded. In the next moment, the entire Heavenly Dragon City was covered in crimson red. As if the air was burning with flames, the temperature of Heavenly Dragon City instantly increased by dozens of degrees. If not for the fact that there were no mortals in the true Dragon Sacred Realm, this sentence alone would have killed countless people. Dad! At this moment, Qi Tian's eyes widened as he looked at the figure that slowly appeared in the air. Why are you here? Qi Tian's dad? Tianyang, who was trying his best to control his body and activate the immortal godly flame to heal himself, froze. Qi Tian's dad, Qi Ingtian, was the son of the Red Dragon Saint and the Crown Prince of Red Dragon City. This meant that Qi Ingtian's dad was the Red Dragon Saint. The Red Dragon Saint, one of the most powerful masters of the Dragon Clan in the spiritual state, had come here. The Red Dragon Saint. At this moment, Heaven Dragon Saint's tone changed. In the next moment, beams of light flashed, and a figure appeared between heaven and earth. He was wearing a white robe and had a head of silver hair. Although he looked like a middle-aged man, one could still sense Heaven Dragon Saint's age. In the true Dragon Sacred Realm, most people had a human form. However, this was only a human form and didn't have as horrifying combat strength as the dragon form. Still, the horrifying Saint Dao suppression that spread out made the surrounding space tremble. Even Wu Zun, who was at the first level of the Saint Realm, couldn't unleash his full power. I'm surprised that the Heaven Dragon Saint, the most senior of the 4 Dragon Saints of the Dragon Clan, has fallen to the point where he has to attack a junior. The Crimson Dragon Saint smiled faintly, and his figure completely solidified. Wearing a red robe, the figure was middle-aged, tall, and resolute. Although he wasn't stunningly handsome, he still had a unique charm. He had a 60% to 70% resemblance to Qi Ingtian's figure. The moment this figure completely materialized, the trembling space affected by the Heavenly Dragon Holy Scripture had completely stabilized at this moment. The trembling space was actually the manifestation of Saint Dao suppression. As soon as the Red Dragon Saint arrived, he suppressed Heaven Dragon Saint's Saint Dao suppression. Heaven Dragon Saint's face turned cold. Crimson Dragon Saint, although I don't know why you're doing this, don't forget, this is the territory of my Heavenly Dragon clan. This was Sky Dragon City. Who I want to kill here has nothing to do with your Crimson Dragon clan. The Heavenly Dragon Saint harumphed coldly. His words were filled with dissatisfaction. Bullshit. At this time, with the support of his father, Qi Ingtian also became unyielding. Brother Tianyang, it's clearly related to my Red Dragon clan. You attacked my Scarlet Dragon race's people without permission in Heavenly Dragon City. Did you ask my father for permission? Qi Ingtian said angrily. Heavenly Dragon Saint was furious. Since when did a junior who wasn't even a half-saint dare to talk to him like that? However, When he saw the middle-aged man behind Qi Ingtian, Tian Longsheng's expression sank. I know that this person was invited by you, Qi Ingtian. However, so what if he was invited? Xin Yuan Kong was personally invited by me, the Heavenly Dragon Saint. He has the Platinum Dragon God token. With the Platinum Dragon God token, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with someone who doesn't even have a Dragon God token. In the end, this person was still arrogant and conceited, severely injuring the Platinum Divine Dragon Badge. Even if you're the Crimson Dragon Saint, don't even think about protecting him, Heavenly Dragon Saint said. However, Tianyang, who had recovered from some of his injuries, also saw through it. Heavenly Dragon Saint was clearly afraid of the Crimson Dragon Saint. Otherwise, he could have killed Tianyang directly. If a saint, a peak saint who was close to becoming a great saint, attacked Tianyang, it wouldn't take more than a fraction of a second to kill a 7th level Wuzun. However, Heavenly Dragon Saint still held back. It was obvious how powerful the Crimson Dragon Saint was. Could it be that he's a great saint? Tianyang was shocked. A great saint. Above the saint realm was the Holy Emperor realm. Between the saint realm and the Holy Emperor realm, there was a small realm called the Great Saint. In the saint realm, one could change heaven and earth with a raise of one's hand. In the Great Saint realm, one's words were followed by laws. One's words were followed by laws. One was a great saint. The Dragon Saint of my Crimson Dragon clan can't stop your Heavenly Dragon clan from killing people. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon Saint spoke with a slight smile on his face. However, your Heavenly Dragon clan can't forget about killing the Violet Dragon God token of my Crimson Dragon clan. The Violet Dragon God token. When these words came out, the entire Heavenly Dragon City fell into silence. Countless people, including by Pingyu, Huang Long, and even Heavenly Dragon Saint himself, narrowed their eyes in disbelief. You're crazy. Your Crimson Dragon clan only has 3 Violet Dragon God tokens. You actually gave them to a human of unknown origin. Heavenly Dragon Saint roared. Do you know how precious the Violet Dragon God token is? At the side, Xin Yuan Kong's face was extremely gloomy when the Crimson Dragon Saint appeared. At this moment, his face was distorted. Violet Dragon God token? He, one of the geniuses of the Xin Yuan family, Wu Zun, who was about to step into the dual saint path, had only obtained the Violet Dragon God token of the Heavenly Dragon clan. There were 3 types of Dragon God tokens. Normally, the Dragon God token was colorless and was just a token in the shape of a dragon. Above that was platinum, and above that was violet gold. He, Xin Yuan Kong, was only platinum. What did Tianyang do to deserve the violet gold Dragon God token? I didn't give it to him. The Crimson Dragon Saint waved his hand and looked at Tianyang curiously. This violet gold Dragon God token is from 30,000 years ago. Although it's still useful now, I'd like to know more about it. What's your relationship with Honorable Swordsman Lin, who has this violet gold Dragon God token? Honorable Swordsman Lin was the person who had accepted the test of the Heaven's Expanse Temple 30,000 years ago and left the violet gold Dragon God token behind. When Tianyang heard this, his expression did not change. He said directly, he left it for me. The Heaven's Expanse Temple naturally could not be exposed. Otherwise, a legacy that could create a Saint Emperor would appear in Wu Zun's hands. There was no need to think about what would happen to Wu Zun. Even if Tianyang's performance on the Heaven's Expanse Divine Stair had defeated the 9 Universes Saint Emperor, it was only because of his Saint Path talent that surpassed the 9 Universes Saint Emperor. It had not been converted into strength yet. I see. The Crimson Dragon Saint did not probe further. He then looked at the Heavenly Dragon Saint. So now, the Heavenly Dragon Saint's expression changed slightly and became extremely ugly. He seemed to know what the Crimson Dragon Saint was going to say. Should we talk about the Heavenly Dragon Clan attacking the Violet Gold Dragon God token of the Crimson Dragon Clan and indulging Platinum to attack the Violet Gold? Hearing this, the Heavenly Dragon Saint's expression suddenly sank to the bottom. Chapter 1163. Heavenly Dragon Saint and Xin Yuan Kong's expressions changed instantly. In the martial world, there was a strict hierarchy. The older the race, the more particular they were about this. In the True Dragon's sacred domain, the Platinum Dragon God token was equivalent to Wu Zun at his peak, while the Violet Dragon God token was equivalent to a half-saint from the dragon race. How could a peak Wu Zun attack a half-saint from the dragon race? There was only one outcome: death. He's a genius from the Xianyuan family. Heavenly Dragon Saint gritted his teeth and glared at Red Dragon Saint. If he was in the True Dragon sacred domain, the Xianyuan family? Hearing this, the Red Dragon Saint raised his eyebrows. He could not tell that this man, who had no redeeming qualities apart from being handsome, was actually a member of the Xianyuan family. Even Red Dragon Saint knew how terrifying the Xianyuan family was in the Central Divine Prefecture. The Central Divine Prefecture was the strongest place in the Xiantian Great World, and the overlord of the Central Divine Prefecture was the overlord of the entire Xiantian Great World. Although the Xianyuan family wasn't the overlord of the Central Divine Prefecture, they weren't too far off from the true overlords. Their ancestors had once been a divine emperor. Now, the Xianyuan family's strongest forces were at least 3 great sages. To the True Dragon's sacred domain, they were a Buddha that couldn't be provoked. That's right, Xianyuan Kong seemed to have grasped at straws as he roared madly. I have a Xianyuan family behind me. 3 great sages. The Central Divine Prefecture. No matter how strong the True Dragon sacred domain is, you won't dare to attack me. Now, hurry up and kill this guy for me. I want to tear him to pieces and extract his soul. I want to torture him for eternity. Xianyuan Kong roared madly. Suddenly, a stream of light flashed past. In the next moment, a fist appeared in front of Xianyuan Kong and smashed directly into his head. Boom! There was a loud bang as a terrifying force acted on Xianyuan Kong's head and sent him flying. Wah! Xianyuan Kong spat out another mouthful of blood. He was like a kite with a broken string as he retreated rapidly. Before Xianyuan Kong, Qi Yingtian curled his lips and sneered. My father is already here, and you still dare to nag in front of this young master? You are courting death. Seeing this, the entire Heavenly Dragon City fell silent again. Even the Crimson Dragon Sage had not expected that his son would actually make a move against this genius with 2 sacred paths. Take a picture of his face. However, since he had already made his move, the Crimson Dragon Sage could not be bothered to explain anything. You want to use the Xianyuan family to pressure me? I'm sorry, but I can't let you do as you wish. Tell me, which do you think is more important? A genius of dual sainthood, a supreme saint, or the wrath of a supreme saint of the dragon race? Hearing this, Xianyuan Kong, who had just been sent flying and was about to curse, suddenly felt his blood stop flowing. The strongest combatants in the Xianyuan family were great sages. Great sages would never fight each other unless they were sworn enemies. As for Xianyuan Kong, although he was a genius of dual saintly way, he was still a distance away from the true dual saintly way. In other words, he was not. Even Wu Zun, who had achieved dual saintly way, did not dare to say that he would definitely be able to step into the saint realm, let alone the great saint realm. How could the Xianyuan family go against an extremely powerful supreme saint of the dragon race for a genius with an unknown future? It would be good enough if they did not tie him up and send him to the Crimson Dragon Clan. After all, the Xianyuan family was a family that could put their daughter under house arrest for the sake of the family's prosperity and even imprisoned and tortured her husband. However, I want to offend the Xianyuan family for no reason. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon Sage spoke. Although the Xianyuan family would definitely give up on Xianyuan Kong, the True Dragon Sacred Domain would definitely be hated by the Xianyuan family. The current True Dragon Sacred Domain was not as strong as the Xianyuan family, so the Crimson Dragon Sage naturally would not add another opponent for no reason. So now, Scram, whether you leave the True Dragon Sacred Domain or stay here to use the power of your Platinum Dragon God token, it's best if you don't appear in my sight. The Crimson Dragon Sage spoke. Hearing this, Xianyuan Kong's body trembled. He had agreed to the Heavenly Dragon Sage's request, because of the Dragon God faction. If he could not even participate in the Dragon God faction, wouldn't he have been severely injured for nothing? Please, Lord Crimson Dragon Sage, please spare my life, Xian Yuan Kong said softly. His voice was intermittent, but it was still barely audible. Hearing this, the crowd fell silent. Xian Yuan Kong, the genius of the Xian Yuan family, had an extraordinary status. Even if Tianyang was strong enough to kill Xian Yuan Kong, he still had the protection of the Heavenly Dragon Sage. However, in front of the Crimson Dragon Sage, even the Heavenly Dragon Sage was just a weakling. With just a few words, he had forced Xian Yuan Kong to lower his head and admit his mistake. This is strength. Tianyang looked at the domineering Crimson Dragon Sage and sighed. His strength was already considered strong among the geniuses of the same age, and he could easily defeat a famous genius like Xian Yuan Kong. However, in front of a true saint, he could only be beaten up. Now, with the protection of the Crimson Dragon Sage, he could survive, but what about the next time? What if the next time he was all alone and had nothing to his name? What belongs to others will belong to others in the end. Only by becoming stronger is the right way. Tianyang gritted his teeth. At this moment, he suddenly felt a gentle but powerful dragon power entering his body. When he looked up, he saw the Crimson Dragon Sage pouring dragon power into his body. Not only did it expel the Heavenly Dragon Sage's aura, but it also nourished Xian Yuan Kong's body. It also nourished Tianyang's body, imperceptibly strengthening his physical strength. At the very least, Tianyang's Dragon King body had become stronger after being refined by the Crimson Dragon Sage's dragon power. That's right. At that moment, the Red Dragon Saint spoke with a smile on his face. Tianyang, thank you for taking care of Qi Yingtian this time. Hearing this, Qi Yingtian pursed his lips but did not say anything. Sky Dragon City, I guess it's not a good place. Why don't you and I go to my place for a chat? The Crimson Dragon Sage smiled. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded. Tianyang was not familiar with the true Dragon Sacred Domain, and he only knew Qi Yingtian by Pengyu and a few others. Other than Qi Yingtian, everyone else was going to fight. Of course, he could only go to Crimson Dragon City. However, your cultivation technique is a little interesting on the way. The Crimson Dragon Sage suddenly said, I wonder if you've heard of the Crimson Dragon Wuzun. Hearing this, Tianyang's body shook.